Raised Rowdy.
All right, well, let's get started here, boys.
Yeah.
My name's Kurt Ozan,
I'm Nicky T.
and welcome to the Raised Rowdy podcast. We've got Jordan Harvey on today.
Thanks for hopping on, bro.
Anytime, lads. Cheers for having me.
Yay! So how did this podcast come about? Obviously, you've got things we need to talk about, but I just saw you at a show, right?
Yeah, I just saw you at the Luke Combs show.
What city was that? They're all kind of blurred in my brain a little bit.
So it was actually New Jersey. It was at New York, the MetLife Stadium. And why I actually really wanted to come to that show was because one of my favourite artists of all time, Bruce Springsteen.
Luke Combs. Okay.
Luke Combs, of course, yeah. No, famously played that back in the day. And going to see Luke in that stadium was such an iconic thing for me because obviously love Luke Combs. But secondly, seeing that stadium, seeing how his fans interact with him is one of the most insane things I have ever witnessed.
Wow.
As a human on this planet. Like, his fans are into what he does for obvious reasons because he's super talented. But it was like a church service. I looked around, everyone's singing, everyone is just locked on him.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of concerts in stadiums, and that to me was the most like intimate concert. It felt like you were almost in a bedroom, but it was in a stadium. It was weird, but it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to, and he definitely has something that very few artists in this lifetime have ever had. He just captivates people, and you get to play on stage with him every night, which is incredible to watch.
Thankfully.
And then I gave you you gave me the sweatiest hug after, which was
Yeah.
I think it might still be on my clothes
My
actually.
bad.
No, but it's a great show. You guys were awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Of
course.
It's good to see you. I didn't even know you were there.
I mean, it was all last minute, to be honest, mate. My wife and I had been together. We just got married in January.
Hey, congrats, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, thank you very much. And then it was our 4-year anniversary of dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to my manager and was like, "Hey, I would love to come up and see Luke. Can we make this happen?" Because being part of the Make Quick family, which is
Sure.
the most amazing family in town.
Amen.
And they were very accommodating, and we came up, surprised my missus. She was like, "Why the hell are we in Jersey?" And then we went up to the stadium and got the tickets, and it was her first ever country concert actually. And we just had a blast. She loved
Where's
it.
she from?
She is from Dothan, Alabama. And she
Alabama
is,
girl. That makes sense.
Yeah, roll
Okay.
Tide. She's a big, went to the University of Alabama.
But she's never been to a country concert?
Never been to a country concert. Nah,
Interesting.
I know, bizarre. Well, she grew up on music. Like, she's a dancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of dancing in country, other than line dancing, right?
Yeah, makes
but
sense.
she was doing a lot of pop. She's probably going to kill me for this because I'm going to say it wrong, but like pop, not contemporary,
Modern.
commercial, modern. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she did she grew up watching Bruno and JT and all that sort of stuff, and she's been fortunate enough to do some Broadway stuff and
Sick.
dancing some music videos and all that sort of stuff. So she's really enjoyed that, but. You would think that from being from the South, stereotypically, you'd be a big country music fan, right?
Of course.
But no, first country concert she went to, and she was like, if that's the last country concert I ever go to, I'm going out on a hike. Because she was like, that's one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It won't be her last because she'll be going to your shows, of course. But
Come
Yeah,
on.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, musically, what sphere would you consider your music that you have been working on?
It's a great question. I grew up in Edinburgh, Scotland. Grew up in a little rural town just outside it. Miss it every day. One of the most, if you ever get the chance to go to Edinburgh, if you've never been, if you ever get the chance to go to South Queensferry. It's so picturesque, so beautiful. And I was raised in a household on music. Like, everyone in my family just loved music. My brother played a little bit of guitar. My dad played a few chords. Loved Johnny Cash. So Johnny Cash was always playing in my house. Loved Elvis Presley. My mom still to this day loves pop music. She would play a lot of dance and pop music, Whitney Houston, all that kind of stuff in the house. And then my granddad, who was a huge influence on me musically, with the Beatles, 10cc, Supertramp, even Wings solo stuff, a band called Ian Dury and the Blockheads, and then also good old Bruce Springsteen. And I just think there's such a correlation between someone like Springsteen and country music.
Yeah.
When you come from a storytelling standpoint, right?
Absolutely.
There's just so many parts of Springsteen stuff that you're just, and I'm enamored by him as a songwriter. And I think that, to answer your question in a roundabout kind of way, the music that I'm creating now is influenced by country music heavily in the storytelling aspect, but sonically is produced like that of my heroes.
Yeah.
Springsteen-esque. You know, you listen to like Dancing in the Dark. I miss those like 80s, you know, gated reverb drums and like the chorus guitars and the driving bass lines and the tempo. It's a lot of energy. So when you come and see it in a acoustic setting like a Bluebird or a listening room, I don't think anyone would turn around and be like, this couldn't be a country song, because they are stories at heart and they're all authentic things that I've lived. But sonically, I've really pushed myself this time. I'm working with a phenomenal producer called Rob Prasad. Honestly, one of the most talented people I've ever met in my entire life. He's been lucky enough to, he worked with Mutt Lange for a few years as his assistant, did some stuff with,
cool.
So the vocals are huge in these records, like all our vocal pads, he learned from Mutt, and he did some work with Hans Zimmer, believe it or not, for the Batman movies, which is crazy, right?
That's sick.
Yeah, but then done like a lot of vocal production for Chris Brown when he was in LA.
Okay, I need to get a beer with this guy.
Yeah, he's the best. And he's from London. So
where does he live, though?
He lives in Brentwood.
Oh.
So we've done everything in his studio or of his house, and we've really kind of we harnessed our influences sonically, which is artists like Springsteen. I can't stress enough how much I love his songwriting, but also like Fleetwood Mac, Bryan Adams, Phil Collins, all these kind of artists that I grew up that were just in my ears all the time. And we've decided to like, hey, let's combine the talent of country music and songwriting in Nashville, Tennessee, and really tell story and things that I've lived. But then let's just rock it out, and let's bring back these big drums. Let's bring back these guitar solos, key changes, sax solos, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. We've thrown it into this record, and it's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something I've never done, and petrified to do it in the beginning when I started the process, because then you go and you sit with your managers like Tyler and Cap, who are so amazing in terms of like they let their artists really be themselves. But to sit there and be like, yeah, so remember everything we did before? So it's not that. And then go, awesome, let's rock with it. And it's so cool.
I'm ready. I want to hear some stuff, man.
Dude, it's like the coolest record I've ever made. And the great thing about it as well is, other than my buddy who is Josh Devine, lives in London, he played drums for One Direction for their whole career. Monster drummer. And he's playing drums on some of the records. But other than that, every instrument we've played, Rob and I.
Crazy.
Wow.
Every instrument.
Wait, who's playing sax solos?
Okay, that was okay. Okay, so here's I rephrased. There was one guy that did a sax solo. One guy did a sax solo, but we also took, crazy enough, this is what we actually did. So we spoke to him. Nashville, the world, pay your musicians fairly, please. Everyone. So we had this guy who played sax in LA for us. We found him online, and he was wicked. He was great, and he gave us like 3 or 4 passes of this song. We used it, knocked it out of the park, happy as Larry. And then we came to this new song, and Rob was like, "Oh, I think we need another sax solo," but he spliced this sax solo up. So only technically one guy's played in it. And we called him and we're like, "Hey man, we'll just refee you. Do you mind if we just use it?" He's like, "Not at all." So it's one guy that's played one sax solo, but we got 2 solos out of it.
Oh, that's cool.
God bless Pro Tools.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's sick, man. But yeah, we just did the whole thing ourselves, and we took our time with it. And toughest record I've ever made in my life. Toughest record from top to bottom.
Wow.
Emotionally, lyrically, sonically, but absolutely hands down the proudest I've ever been of anything.
One thing I've noticed, like seeing you live, like we went and saw you at Whiskey Jam, is like the energy that y'all have on stage. It's just like banger, banger, banger. Like the whole set, it's all like up tempo. It's fun. It's all earworms. It's just like moving the whole time. Is this record more in that vein, or is it there more broke down stuff? Or
I think that it definitely is. It's a fast record. And it's packed with energy. I mean, it is literally like someone on cocaine for 12 songs. I'm not, so don't worry about that, Mom.
Drugs are bad.
Yeah, they're bad. Don't worry, Mom. I'm good. But it's lightning fast. But there's elements to the record that most recently, I've actually never spoke about this. And these are things that I'm going to have to speak about when these songs come out. They're difficult. When I said to you, like, emotionally and all that sort of stuff. We started off with the bangers, right? They just came out of us so fast. Like, I feel like a lot of people in this town say, "Oh, tempo's really hard to write." But me being a British lad, I don't know. Like, I just grew up on Zeppelin and all those bands as well that were all fast tempo, that kind of 140 to 175 range. So that's kind of my bread and butter. I can lock that in. What Nashville really taught me is how to write a ballad and to write a song that when you listen to it, you can take someone on a lyrical journey from beginning to end and leave them with that feeling, right? So we went for the record. We had 8 or 9 tracks locked in, and I hadn't had the ballad yet, right? It was it was killing me. I'd tried. I'd been in many different rooms. I'd been with phenomenal songwriters, and we wrote a great song. You know, these guys in town are unbelievable. But it wasn't for me. I couldn't get it. And I just kept thinking it was heartbreak. I was like, well, you know, Lewis Capaldi does it this way, or Dermot Kennedy does it this way, or it's all about heartbreak, and they've left them and they've walked out. And I just couldn't find my ballad. And it was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. It was just trying to, and then I thought, like, I am chasing something that I've not experienced. I have had heartbreak before, but I can't remember what that feels like. It was so long ago. I've been with my wife 4 years, didn't date before that. So, like, it's been a while. But my gran passed away in January. And I was in a right one day, and when my gran got sick, I didn't say goodbye. She went to hospital, right? She was in hospital for quite a few months. She was sick for a while. But at the end, I was back in Scotland at Christmas time, and she was in the hospital. And I have all these, like, amazing memories of my gran. She was, like, incredible. She took me to see Eric Clapton at Albert Hall. I mean, come on. Yeah, what a cool gran, right?
Yeah.
But I was told that she had got unwell, and she wasn't herself anymore, in terms, she was frail. And I just couldn't bring myself to be in that situation this year. I just didn't know how to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And when I said that to myself, like, I didn't know how to say goodbye. That's how the whole song got written. Because it was like, I couldn't bring myself to look that person in the eye one last time, because I didn't know how to say goodbye. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that situation. And that can be someone that's taken from them suddenly and they never got to say goodbye, or someone that's been in a similar situation. Because selfishly for me, you know, I think people around me, like my family, although they understood and they respected that I didn't want to physically see her, you know, I still would text her and tell her I love her and all that sort of stuff. But, like, I think they might have kind of been a little confused, like, why does he not want to go and see her? And I really wrote this song. I actually wrote the song for my mom, weirdly enough. Like, I wrote it to my mom to be like, this is why. Yeah. I know she's not asking for an answer, but I'm like, this is why. And I think after she hears the song, and my grandpa hears this song, and people hear this song, it's gonna explain a lot.
Yeah.
But that was the missing piece to the whole puzzle. And I think that, like you said, you came to my show and you saw 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I've been on this run recently of just this more slowed down, honest, authentic me. And I think that when you hear that as well, I would hopefully you can get a complete polar opposite feeling. But if you come to see me at a show and I play these songs, I hope it leaves you with the feeling it's meant to give you. You'll kind of be hit with two sides of the coin, right? It'll be like, oh my god, I feel great, and then there'll be that section in the set in the show that's like pulling at the heartstrings.
Yeah, the gut punch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just the one, the uppercut.
Yeah.
And I think that's what great artists, and that I always, you know, aspire to be a great artist. That's what any artist aspires to be, is great, right? I just think that's what the Beatles were so good at. The Beatles were so unbelievable at doing that. They could take you to I Saw Her Standing There, and then they could take you down to Let It Be, and you're just filled with emotion. And that's hopefully what I can give to the listener on this record. And although it's a very personal record, I actually wrote this record so that people can listen to it and hear themselves in the record.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that country music as a culture does really well. Is it ends up that the most personal experiences oftentimes are the most relatable. You know,
yeah, man.
Even though it's like your story or your songwriter friend's story, it ends up that's the stuff that means the most to the most people.
Yeah, 100%. And just even for myself, you know, I've gone through a lot of health issues in the last year or so, which I never expected to happen. Like, never. It's the weirdest thing. Like, we take our life and our health for granted, right? We wake up and we think like, taxes, or we think like, you know, got to get this done, got to get that done. And we don't just think up when we wake up in the morning, we don't kind of sit up and go, oh, well, everything functions. This is great. I am healthy, which we should do more. Right. Which I certainly do now, like a lot more than I ever used to. But the record speaks on these health issues as well, and what that's all, and how that's all kind of unfolded. So it's crazy, man. Like, the last year and a half for me has just been a whirlwind of change, a complete season of change, in the best way.
And is it just musically driven, or like driven through your personal life, or is there anything that's kind of caused it?
Yeah, man, I think, I was on this path. I've been in Nashville now for 6 years, 5 or 6 years, give or take. And I was a lot happened when I moved to Nashville very fast for me. Like the band happened. I was in a band called King Calloway that was on BBR Records, and love those guys, love BBR. It was so fast. It was like I blinked and it was over, right? And then my solo career happened, was born out of COVID, which happened to a lot of people. Yeah. And then that kind of was slow in the beginning, but I'd met my wife, so I was kind of grateful for that time getting to know her whilst trying to navigate COVID, which we all were. It was just the craziest time. Let's not take it back there, but we got through that situation, and then I was out on the road, and I was doing radio tours, and I was plugging songs, and if I'm completely entirely honest, I was really happy with the record I made, but I was selling something that I wasn't overly passionate about.
Yeah.
I was gifted an opportunity with BBR and BMG that I'm extremely grateful for, and I love that team wholeheartedly. And I tried to, they're so good at radio. BBR are like unbelievable at radio, right? They're great at taking artists and breaking them on radio. And that was the goal for me, right? It was like, let's get music on the radio. So I specifically wrote music after studying the radio and listening to the radio to try and be on radio, okay? Yeah. But in doing that, I was never able to really put myself and my experiences in a song that was equipped for radio. They were kind of like, I checked the boxes. Hooky melody, has the right cool lyrics, like blah, 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 you'd hear on radio, right? But halfway through that kind of cycle, or towards the end of that cycle, I took a break for Christmas in Christmas of 2023. 23? Yeah, I think it was 23. And was it Christmas? No, it's Christmas 22. Sorry, my apologies. Christmas 22. That's right. I took a break from radio tour, and I was picking back up again radio tour in January. So I went home. I got engaged, which was awesome, in Scotland.
Congrats.
In front of a castle.
Yeah.
Don't worry. There's more castles.
Yeah,
there's more castles than there is houses.
Yeah.
Got engaged. Everything was going good, and then I went to Ireland the next day. And I'd been mega stressed anyway, just with work and everything that happened. Well, my missus and I, we go to Cork in Ireland, and I get to the hotel super early, and I wake up, and there's an old lady rubbing my shin.
What?
Yeah. Okay. This is where it gets weird. Okay. So there's an old.
I'm into this.
Yeah. there's an elderly woman, but as my eyes are opening, because I remember going to sleep on the bed, as my eyes are opening, there's a silhouette of this lady, and my brain hadn't come back into reality yet. So I'm seeing the silhouette of this woman rubbing my shin, saying it's okay, and I'm like, I'm dreaming. I have to be dreaming. And then my wife comes in and she screams, and I'm like, what is going on? And I feel really weird. So I try to jump off the bed to stand up, and I just, boom, no power in my legs. I fall back on the bed. And then paramedics walk in the room, and I'm going, what is happening? Like, what is going on? And I'd had a seizure. I had my first ever grand mal seizure.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I remember sitting in the back of the ambulance, and I don't even know why I asked this question, but I asked the paramedic, I just said to her, black and white, could I have died from this? I don't even know why I asked that question. And she went, yes. And I was like, okay. So we got to hospital, we got through, we got discharged. I actually went out on a bender that night. Don't ever recommend it to anyone. I went out and drank like 8 pints of Guinness. I was like petrified, right? It was the weirdest thing. Great Guinness though, in Cork. I will tell you, the best in the world. Right? So I went out and I tanked like 8 pints of Guinness. And I went back. It was on Christmas. It was on the 23rd of December it happened. I had Christmas Eve with my family, Christmas Day, and then I got back to Nashville. My manager, I was meant to go back out on radio tour, and thank God he did this, but my manager basically spoke to the label, and they put everything on pause, and I went out to see a neurologist in California. And we did all the tests, she gave me the all clear. So let's fast forward 10 months. I'm still in this cycle of like figuring out what I want to do for my life. And when you kind of figure out you've hit a roadblock like that, you're like, okay, let's figure out what I want to do. So I started to remove things in my life that I wasn't happy with. I started to write music that was just fully me. I'd kind of written a little bit about that experience, a little bit about the getting engaged and all this sort of stuff, kind of pre-stuff. And then I was out on the road in August or September of last year, and then I had another one. So I played Brooklyn, New York, and went back to the hotel that night, woke up. This time, as I woke up, 2 paramedics are walking in my room. So I just stood up. I was like, let's go. Take me to hospital. I know what it is. Because I had that feeling, right? Mm-hmm. So I get to hospital. They run all the tests again. I get out of hospital, get discharged from Brooklyn Hospital. I'm meant to play Boston that night. And my drummer was like, we're going home. And I was like, dude, like, it's not going to happen again. I feel okay. Let's just drive to Boston. It's a few hours. We'll play the show. We'll get a good night's sleep tonight. We'll fly home tomorrow. I'll go and see my neurologist. Like, I can't go and see them now anyway, right? So let's just go and do it. He's like, are you sure? I had to battle with him, but I was like, let's go and do it. Well, we get in the car. We're driving to Boston. I was like, dude, I'm going to have a quick sleep because I'm exhausted. He's like, yeah, of course. I wake up on the side of the road on a stretcher going into the back of an ambulance.
Jeez.
I had 2 grand mal seizures in less than 12 hours. 2. So at this point, I'm like, I'm dying. And at this point, I'm like, there's a growth in my brain. There's something. There has to be. Like, I've had 2 in the space of 12 hours. Like, something is not right. Something is dramatically wrong. Well, luckily, after tests, and I went and saw this great specialist in Michigan. There isn't anything wrong, but what happened was I had to strap a EKG monitor to me for 3 days and like do like sleep studies and all that. And they found that there was electrical activity starting in the front left lobe of my brain, and it was shooting across, and that's what was causing seizures. So I'm now medicated with this medication called Keppra, which is very non-invasive to the human body. So it doesn't really have many side effects, which is, thank God, right? It's great, but it basically controls that electrical activity. So I'm coming up for a year seizure free. Since I've been on this medication.
Congrats, man.
Thank you very much.
That's so scary.
It was petrifying, especially for my wife finding me the first time, right?
Yeah.
And I've kind of watched videos of what that looks like, and it's not nice. But from that moment on, and that was such a pivotal moment for me, I was like, I want to help. What I discovered was that there's a lot of help out there for epilepsy and for seizures. They're all kind of, epilepsy and grand mal seizures. They're connected in a way. One thing I want to really do is I wrote this song that's going to be on my record. It's called Running Out of Time. And it's about me being in Dublin and then hear my wife like scream and cry. And like just everything that I went through in that situation. It's very like story beginning to end, but it's very Phil Collins production. So I didn't want to do the whole like dark doom gloom. I wanted to tell the story, but put it in a way that could be digestible. And what I said I want to do with that song is I want to try and start a charity as a connection to the Epilepsy Foundation that offers free therapy for people that find friends, loved ones, whatever, having a seizure. Because the knock-on effect to these people, to my wife, is far greater than me. I woke up and I was like, I feel kind of weird. I didn't go through what I saw. And anytime a seizure happens on TV now or the word gets thrown around, my wife freaks out. She gets very emotional. And I'm like, that's someone that needs to have to talk to someone, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to donate a certain percentage of the proceeds of that song, plus get out into the community and really involve myself with the Epilepsy Foundation to try and get people that really need it, that can't afford it, some of that help and that therapy that they require after finding someone that they dearly love or a friend that's gone through like a seizure.
Wow. All because, just you obviously love your wife so much. So
yeah.
It's kind of like you want to give back and help other people out like that.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. And so for me, I looked at life and I was like, I'm not happy with this. I don't like this. That person sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, I'm just removing it. Yeah. What are the things in my life that make me happy? What are the things in my life that I love? Because do you know what? Selfishly, I'm just doing that from now on. And I realized that I wasn't on a path musically that I was happy with. I love country music, and I will always love country music, and country music will always be a part of my brand and my sound. And country music gifted me this skill set to write. So I can really write for, I don't know if you can say shit on this podcast, but
You can.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't really write for shit before I started learning how to write a country song. So it taught me that, and I'll be forever grateful for country. And honestly, there's going to be songs that are on this record that do sound country. It's kind of like the Springsteen thing,
Like Nebraska record, or it could be kind of country.
Dude, even I'm on Fire, listen to that bass line, and it's like a walking Johnny Cash type bass line, So, yeah, I think that there was just so many pivotal moments for me in life that, the seizures, the getting married, that really just flicked a switch in me and was like, I just want to make change, and I want to help, and I feel like we're living in a world right now where authenticity is so key. I think it's always been key, right? But like, it's so much more important now. And with the shift in country music, even last year, I know it's got a lot kind of more pop now, right? With the types of Post Malone coming in, and Beyonce, where they're attracting, like Post has come in, but he's done country diligently, right? He's come in. I'm not saying that every artist hasn't done that. I'm just using him as a case study. Like, he's come in and he's written with the people and he's made a sound and he's authentic and he's done great, right? I don't think anyone that...
I agree.
He's done great, right? We listened to his record and we're like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I think to take a lad from Edinburgh, Scotland, that has an eclectic dress sense, weird hair, a high voice, and loves certain types of music, for me to be authentic in country music, I would probably have to go even poppier, but I'm not talking about the pop that's in country right now. I'm talking like 2012 country, like
Bro
Dan
country,
and Shay, like Kane Brown-esque like that, right? And there's just
Yep.
not really a market for that right now. So for me to go really into the country thing, people are going to be like, what is this guy doing? This is so inauthentic. So I just had to go, okay, let's be authentically me and find my lane whilst taking everything I love about country and everything I love about rock and pop. Let's combine it together with everything I've lived in the last 1.5 to 2 years. And that's the record.
Yeah. Well, and I think now the cool thing about other artists coming in sonically is there's such a wide base of what is considered country, but almost more than just country music now. I mean, Nashville has always been Music City, but I think it is more now than ever, right? You're having people pop in from out of town. I remember when Posty started coming to town and you hear it bubble up like, oh, he's at Losers, you know, or like whatever.
Yeah, and like Dave Mustaine lives in Nashville, who's a metal guy. And then there's like, I'm sure Scott Stapp lives in Nashville, you know?
He
It's
does.
like,
We see it. We saw his son before.
Yeah, so
Scott
it's like...
Stapp, what a guy.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, it's a Music City for sure.
Yeah, and that's the other cool thing is you got a producer who is so far from what you would consider a classic country producer who lives here because it's Music City and because you have access to amazing people and amazing artists that are working in town. So,
but studied with Mutt, so it's like...
which is so cool, you know.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he's wicked, man. And I just think that, you're right. It's Music City, and I think that this town is so much more open to so many different styles of music now as well than it ever has been. I think that it's funny because I think that people that love pop love country, and I think that people that love country love pop. I think that's always been a thing, but I think it's more accessible now, and I think it's more acceptable now, right? I think that we see a lot more pop collaborations, we see a lot more country collaborations, and for the first time in my lifetime, country music's at the peak of its career in terms of global exposure.
Yes,
100%
very much agree.
You know?
And like Luke was on pop radio with Fast Car and Morgan and
Jelly Roll.
Jelly.
Yeah.
I think Jelly
Pop
opens the
King.
gates for a lot of that in this recent genre.
And to be honest with you, man, he was actually... I was very lucky when I had my time at BBR, you know, to spend time with Jelly. It wasn't a lot of time, but in any time of passing, the most generous guy, by the way, the most humble
Sweetie
dude,
pie.
sweetest guy, right? I mean, I'd walk past him and he would go out his way to, like, you know, I'd walk past him in the corridor or walk past the door and he'd see me through the stained glass and he would run through and be like, hey, like, how you doing? Come and give me a hug. And I think that just following his journey and realizing that you do have to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Jelly Roll came into country music as a rock rapper kind of guy, and I can confidently tell you that 90% of country radio promoters were probably like, no. And then look what Jelly did. Jelly said,
now they're like,
Jelly said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Because Jelly's like, I know that, because he makes a damn good country record.
Yep.
You know, he really does. And he knows that I will connect with these people. And what I said earlier about Luke connecting with his audience, the only other person I've seen that connects like that is Jelly. Jelly just like, it's unbelievable, you know, what he can do with people and how he helps people. And that was a huge influence for me to pivot into doing what I really, really want to do and be authentic to myself. Because, I mean, to me, he's, you know, up there with the most authentic artists in the world, Jelly.
Agreed.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gotten to be, we've been going to a bunch of festivals, so I've gotten to see him headline some festivals.
Yeah.
And then last year, he was like direct support kind of. So just watching the crowd interact with Jelly is absurd. Even at a festival where it's not necessarily his show, right? They might be there to see Nickelback the night that we saw him the one time.
Great band as well,
yeah,
by the way.
Absolutely. But Jelly held the entire festival crowd in the palm of his hand the whole time. It was wild to see. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like with Luke, like I got to see that this weekend in Cincinnati.
Isn't it crazy?
He has the whole crowd and he's taking them on a journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
The one thing that I absolutely... I've never met Luke. I'm excited to meet him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm excited to meet him at some point. One of the most amazing things, I watched his podcast with him and Theo Von, and Theo was like, "Is it true that like you're this humble guy and you don't go out and you're not like flashy, right?" And he's like, "No, dude." He's like, "We just upgraded our house, but like we had like a 2,500 square foot house." And and I love that about him, right? Like how honest and personal he is. So I'm on the Southwest flight flying up to New York with my wife to go and see the Look concert, and I look across from me and I'm like, "That's Luke Combs' wife on the plane." And for me, I just fell in love with them as a couple even more. I'm like, you could fly private, you could do whatever you want. And she's just, as a family, as a connection, I don't know them as people, but as an outsider looking in, I'm just like, you are the most humble, lovely, cool family that like, all these things that you could do, you just regular people, which I just love. I think that that's such an admirable trait to have.
Bro, I could talk about loving Luke and his family for hours. Like, absolutely. He's the best.
Yeah, and
Nicole's the best. They're all great.
They just seemed so sweet, and then the whole plane sang "Happy Birthday" to her because it was her birthday. And
oh, you were on that flight?
Yeah, I was on that flight. Yeah, it was just so sweet, and it just shows you that no level of stardom or fame or money, they're the same people, and I just think that that's 100%. Such a beautiful thing because I don't think everyone can say that. I think people do change with fame and money. I think some people don't. Some people do, and they're just such a great class act example of, hey, you can have all this and you can be this, but we're just regular people, and God loving regular people. And I think it's awesome. I think it's cool as shit.
I think Nick has said before, like having money just kind of like amplifies who you are. If you're a good person beforehand, then you like Luke. It's like pay us through the pandemic and just a million different things. It's like make sure that like we were cool after like the Vegas thing and the Cappy too, and like then it's like if you're not a good person and you get rich, and it's like then you just have more money to be a dick about stuff.
Yeah. I will tell you though, it funnels down through. I mean, even what Cappy has built with Makewake, and I can't say enough. It's like you about Luke, right? Like you say you can't say enough good things about Luke. I can't say enough good things about Cap and Tyler and the Makewake team. What they've built there as a unit is just everyone is so lovely. Everyone is so lovely. Everyone is so helpful. Everyone is so kind, and it's just I feel very grateful, even though I get stuck into my manager and give him a hard time, and we're just boys, we've been mates for a long time, but like I'm so grateful to be a Makewake artist. And I said this to multiple people. I think I've said this before actually quite a few times. I'm like, go and find a group of managers that they're artists when they're on a path and it's starting to do well. They come to them and go like, hey, I want to completely pivot, and they don't even blink an eye. They just go, yeah, we just want you to be happy. We love you. We just care about you. I'm like, how many go and watch the Elvis Presley documentary or the movie. That Tom guy ran him into the ground,
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas these guys are just like, yeah, cool. We'll pivot with you. Let's rock and roll. I'm like, you'd be hard pushed to find many managers in this world that would just be like, we're going straight. Let's just 90-degree right. Yeah. And we're on board. Let's go faster this time though. They're just great. And I can only imagine Luke and his team and all that are the same. If they're any reflection of Cappy, then you're one lucky man.
Yeah.
I was kind of conscious.
I told Cappy, I'm like, if I forget how to play music, I'm gonna come work at Makewake.
Oh yeah. Well, if you just like wake up one day and you're just like,
oh God, I hope not.
Is it not a movie? Is it not a movie about it?
Kerr would be good at 10 other things.
And he's like wakes up and completely forgets how to do anything. What?
It's like that what's that movie where the guy wakes up and no one knows who the Beatles are?
Oh yeah, that movie's great.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that.
Yeah, it's called. Is it not Yesterday?
Yeah, Yesterday.
Yeah. Oh my! Isn't that movie so good?
So
amazing.
Great.
Could you imagine?
He's like, wait, you guys don't know this?
Yeah.
There should be a version of that movie, but it's Limp Bizkit.
Man, all right, we gotta make it.
Yeah. Have you seen that Beatles documentary, the one that came out a few years ago? Get Back?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. You need to go and watch it. Like
I'm a huge Beatles fan, and like a lot of people in Nashville aren't. But like I grew up on the Beatles.
There's like, which is so that that explains why you're so good, because you were raised on the best band in the world.
Amen, man.
But it's so funny, and I'll keep this really short. But there's a section in that documentary where they're writing for the Let It Be record, and time's against them. They're really stressed. They need to write songs. They need to find songs. They're all arguing. Minus Ringo, he's just chilling at the back with a cigarette in his mouth, just tapping along. But George, John, and Paul are all pulled in different directions, and they've got the studio set up, and Paul comes in one morning, he picks up the bass, and you just hear dum 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 dum, and you just go, George was a man who thought he was a one, and he just writes Get Back right there,
and
in front of you,
and they filmed it.
They filmed it.
Crazy.
They filmed it. So he just does Get Back in front of you, and it's the most insane thing I've ever seen.
I have seen that scene.
It's probably the best scene.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, probably the best scene of the whole thing.
It's a long documentary, right?
Yeah, but if you're like
in the Beatles fan,
if you're like a Beatles mania
Yeah.
Fan like I am. And then also Paul just sits there and does like the long and winding road, and then goes, I don't know if it's that good. I'll come back to it later. You're like, what? It's only just the long and winding road. Yeah,
it's so crazy. It's like when that dude sings Yesterday in front of Ed Sheeran in that movie, and Ed's like, fuck you, bro.
Yeah, mate. And that was called Scrambled Eggs when he wrote it.
Yeah, he came to him in a dream. Have you heard this story?
No.
Okay, so Paul McCartney woke up with the song like in his brain, and so he figured it out and like played it, but he didn't have the lyrics down. And so he'd go to everyone, hey, does this sound familiar? Scrambled eggs, whatever. And they're like, well, he's like, what song is this? I can't figure it out. And it wasn't a song. It was it just came, like the whole thing came to his brain.
It was legit.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just like a divine intervention, like a muse of some sort. Just
either he's incredible PR and full of shit, or that was genuine. But either way, it's genius. Yeah. And I don't think Paul McCartney is, because like,
no, he seems like the best.
I mean, even just think of the songs that guy made, man. Like when he went solo and then he did Wings, like Band on the Run, and like what was that?
Yeah. Yes. Have you seen him live?
No, I've watched his DVDs enough.
I've seen Paul probably 3 times, I think. Yeah. I saw him in high school. He played my arena, like the hockey rink. And the marching band had like a vendor thing there. I was in the marching band and played snare drum. And you can go work, and all the proceeds would be donated to the marching band to help us with uniforms and stuff. So my parents and I would go and, sell pretzels and stuff, hot dogs, and help the marching band. Well, my mom and I went on the night Paul came, and we didn't work at all. We just fucked off and like watched the whole show.
That's fucking cool.
We went to sound check, and because we got there early, and Paul was sound checking, and he would just run through, play a song like really fast, like Lady Madonna, like or whatever, and just play everything really fast and just kind of getting sounds. Yeah. And my mom and I were like, Paul, and he looked up, and then security kicked us out immediately.
That is awesome.
But Paul McCartney has heard us scream before, which is cool. I saw him at Fenway. It was amazing. I cried. And I saw him at Citi Field also in New York.
I would cry.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing that made me cry is that he has this ukulele. Yeah. And then he plays George's ukulele and dedicates a song to him. I was just like...
And I don't even know, like, I mean, it's only speculation, but I don't even know what their relationship was like at the end of their life.
I'm sure it was better, but...
Couldn't be much worse.
Yeah. I don't know. But R.I.P. George.
I know. What a legend as well. Again, he still wrote some of the best Beatles songs of all time.
Yeah, Something it's like, that's like their most streamed song.
Something.
Yeah.
And like Here Comes the Sun. And While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
It's one of the George songs is like their most stream song on Spotify.
Probably is Something.
Which is insane.
Or Here Comes the Sun. I can't. They're both big songs.
We'll have to look it up.
I know. But I mean, it's crazy.
Charlie, look it up.
It's not many times you're in a band with the 2 best male vocalists of all time and songwriters.
Yeah.
People will probably dog on me for saying that, and they'll be like, no, it's not. It's, I don't know, the Spice Girls. But it's not. It's like, it's Paul and John.
Male vocalists?
Oh, Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. 100%.
Yeah, I know. It has to be, right? Yeah. It has to be. But as a duo, like as a 2.
Oh, they're insane.
I mean,
nothing ever close.
Freddie's like the best singer of all time.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm a Cornell guy, but Freddie, yeah.
Yeah. My so one of my wife's best friends their best friend is Adam Lambert. And she remembers the moment that he told her that he was going to be the new singer for Queen.
Wow.
And he walks on stage in his first ever gig. And he said, I'll never fucking be Freddie Mercury, but I'll give him my best go.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fair play. He's like, I'm not here to try and be him. I'll never be him. He's the best of all time. And that guy can sing, though. That Adam Lambert guy can sing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, my God.
Good.
Yeah.
And also, like, Journey got that singer. There was this karaoke contest, and this dude, I think he's, like, Filipino or something.
Interesting.
And he got the Journey gig because he won this, like, karaoke contest.
What?
Yeah.
Is he singing for Journey now?
Yeah. He has been for years, and he's, like, amazing.
Is it bad that I don't know who the singer of Journey was?
I forget his name right now. I'm a bad person, but yeah, you're fine.
We're equally as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knew, so you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, other than Don't Stop Believing, I don't know really many Journey songs.
Oh, they have smash hits. You know Journey songs.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do, but I didn't really listen to many American bands, believe it or not. I mean, when you grow up in an island that has...
You mentioned so many... Actually, I was just thinking this.
Yeah.
You were like, Bruce Springsteen and Johnny Cash. I'm like, isn't there some like weird band that I've never heard of that you grew up listening to that was like great? Not weird, but like... What non-American music did you listen to growing up?
So, I mean, the weird one was Ian Dury and the Blockheads.
Okay, so I never heard of that.
Like, Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick? Oh, shit.
So. Pull it up.
Oh, don't you want it? Hey,
Hit me with your rhythm stick.
This is what... Hopefully there's no profanity, I suppose.
No, it's fine.
This is what I grew up on, right?
There you go. I just cut.
So this guy had polio.
Dang.
Polio.
It's a throwback disease.
Yeah. Is that
Vintage.
Yeah. Is that not like in the 80s or something? This guy had polio, and then like
Brutal.
he would sing stories. I don't... Yeah, he's like...
Well, I mean, the Beatles aren't American either. So.
No, but like, so whilst... I mean, you guys have... I'll just wait till this loads up.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, look at this.
The...
Unless you just have Spotify on your phone.
Yeah, I do.
I should probably... Here we go. Or any...
We should have gave you guys all the Wi-Fi passwords.
Any musical app for that. Here we go. Right, so this is... I'm going to give you a quick education on my upbringing.
Cool.
So I used to listen to stuff like this. I think you'll dig this.
Yeah, this is great.
Listen what I'm saying. Here it goes.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll
I'm in.
is all my brain and body need.
So I grew up on stuff like that. I grew up on... Do you ever remember the band 10cc? Oh, my God.
10cc?
Yeah, I feel like you guys are going to dig this stuff. Wait till you want to talk about high voices.
Yes.
Wait till you hear this guy sing. One. Oh, there's two.
Wow. This song sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, it's probably. But I also grew up on
Sounds like Beach Boys.
one of the biggest songs that I grew up on. There's two more things that I'm going to show you.
I got to tell you about my Scotland experiences.
Yeah, I want to hear them. I do definitely want to hear them.
A lot of Guinness.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You get an ungodly amount of notifications on your phone.
I know, bro.
It just
Welcome
kept
to my
going.
life.
It just kept going.
Nick's popular, man. Yeah. He's got emails and...
I turned some off, and then I was missing stuff, so I had to turn them all back on.
Scottish band.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last one I'll leave you with, which is they're global. I mean, you know, this is the second best band of all time behind the Beatles.
Is it you two? Are they Scottish?
Oh, they're actually Irish. This band isn't
sorry.
Scottish, but just you can't go wrong with this. Drum fill.
Oh, yeah. Oasis.
Yeah.
I loved Oasis.
And here's the last hidden one I will give you. They're not very well known, but they're one of the biggest influences on a band called the 1975. They're Scottish.
The 1975 is Scottish?
No, they're English, but this band here is Scottish. And they're called the Blue Nile. Wasn't this 80s production?
So this is the 1975, but in the 80s.
They've just basically ripped off the band, right? And they weren't that popular, Blue Nile, so
I
no
love the 1975. Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of music.
Who is that?
It's called the Blue Nile.
He kind of sounds like Sting a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Sting's another great. I
Yeah.
mean, listen to like all the British legends we had. You know, I mean, like
Yeah.
it was a tough push for me to. I mean, I love American music, and don't get me wrong, like I'm probably singing a bit of an American accent, but I think most British people do as well. But we were just very fortunate for an island of 60 million people to have so many incredible artists, and we still churn them out. You know.
Yeah.
It's incredible. British music and American music is so intertwined as well in so many ways, and it's so funny they're influenced by it. Like the Beatles wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for rock and roll, you know.
Sure.
So it's like it's crazy like how the cross pollinations happened. But then would we have had Nirvana if we didn't have the Beatles? Like you listen to like Helter Skelter and then you listen to grunge. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
And that's like Zeppelin and the blues.
Oh man, Robert Plant,
for sure.
John Bonham, R.I.P. Best drummer of all time.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's amazing.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
died at 27 on Too Many Bananas. What a way to go.
R.I.P.
I know.
Ugh, that's not how I want to go.
What
Was he 27 though? Was he part of the?
Yeah.
I remember when I turned 28. I'm like, I guess I'm not that good at music.
Yeah. I mean,
Thank God.
Once you make it through 27, you're plain sailing. I think after that, if you're
Yeah.
doing rock and roll.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 32, mate.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to put all those seizures lining up. I'm like, no, you were a little older than 27. When
I
that
was,
happened.
mate. Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
You know, thankfully. But it's crazy, man. Like music is just we live and breathe it, don't we? I mean, I'm sure there's. Were you influenced by country music when you grew up, or did you get into
Not
it?
at all.
Nah, you don't strike me as someone that would be.
No.
Not. You feel like you're more of a rocker guy.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't mean to put you in a stereotype because you
No,
have a
no.
beard and long hair, but like,
No, you're right. I mean, I grew up in like Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
Metallica. You know, I went through all that. I mean, I did like Stevie Ray Vaughan and all that stuff too. But it was just growing up was rock.
all right.
I didn't even know. Yeah, well, it's back now, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know anything. I knew like Thunder Rolls. I'm like, that song's cool. Hey, Good Looking, like that, like the stuff that had crossed over. But in my head, I'm like twang, and to me, country was all piano ballads in my
Yeah.
head for some reason. And then I heard like in 2010, I guess it was, or 11, I heard Country Girl Shake It For Me, and I was like, that's country music? It sounds like rock.
Yeah.
And then I got really into bluegrass. Is kind of what made me move to Nashville.
Good old Ricky Skaggs.
Yeah, for sure. Doc Watson and
Yeah.
Tony Rice and all that. Jerry Douglas specifically.
I played the opera with Ricky Skaggs, actually on stage with him performing. It was incredible.
What song did you?
Was when I was in the band. We did Seven Bridges Road.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he came out and did the whole mandolin solo and stuff. That man is. I stood right next to him. He was right to my right shoulder, and what a genius.
Yep.
Musically,
100%.
his like like his, and he's just. I mean, I don't know how you make a
I
mandolin
mean,
sound like that.
he was a prodigy, you know, as a kid.
Nicest guy in the world as well, by the way.
Yeah, and we played the CMA Awards, I don't know, a couple years ago, if that, maybe last year. And when you do the CMA Awards, you and all the other artists are all in the same green room. There's only like 3 or 4 green rooms. So it'll be like you're in there, and it's like there's, you know, it's like Luke Combs and then like Luke Bryan, and it'll be Ricky Skaggs and who,
Yeah.
you know, like, and they're everyone, John Party, you're all jammed in there, band and managers. And then so one year we had Ricky in there, and he had this acoustic guitar with a B bender on it, which is like when you move the guitar, it bends the string. So you don't use your fingers to bend it; you move the neck, and there's a contraption that pulls the string through the strap.
Okay.
And he was in there playing, and just warming up. And then our production manager Jerry goes, "Everyone, shut up! Ricky Skaggs is playing guitar." And he sat there and just played for everybody, and was just like, he's a beast.
He's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible talent.
Country music is just honestly, I can't say enough good things about it, and it's been so good to me. Like, truthfully, the things I've managed to do up until this point in my career, especially in country music, I'm every day just so grateful for. People I've met, the situations I've been in, the opportunities I've had, have just all been amazing. I'm so excited now to be able to show people what everything I've learned since I came to Nashville and everything I am as a person all rolled into one record.
Yeah.
And I just love that we're in a place in Nashville right now where you could do that.
Yeah, it's
you know,
great.
no one's gonna be like, wait, what the hell?
So do we have some dates we want to talk about when stuff's coming out, or?
Absolutely. So first single off the record is coming out actually on September 6th. So this first song it wasn't actually initially meant to be the first song. We had it set up to be a different song called This Is What It Feels Like, which will come out after that. TBD date on that, probably within 5 weeks of the first release. So we're looking at early October for the second release. But Concrete, September 6th for The Outsider. And it's a song that I wrote that I didn't expect to write. It was weird. I was in a write with Rob, an incredible writer intern, Ava Sapelsa.
Rob who?
Rob Prasad, who's producing the record.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like I was kind of going back to my childhood, which I've done a lot on this record as well, and telling stories about what it was like growing up as a child. And one thing I realized about myself is I've always fitted in everywhere, but I've never fitted in anywhere. I know that sounds so bizarre, but like, for example, I played soccer, football at school, and I did well in football, and I'd be with all the cool football kids, but then I could go and hang out with the musicians because I loved playing drums and guitar, and then I could go and hang out with the theater kids because I loved doing that. So I was never like just a football guy or that, but in saying so, like I never felt like I was just grounded to one place. I was kind of just friends with everyone, right? And then when I left school and I moved to London, I did London for a year and a half and did college in London. And then right after that, I was like, well, I don't like London anymore, so I moved back to Edinburgh and joined a band, and an indie pop rock band, and toured Europe and stuff. And then I didn't want to be in the band anymore, and then decided to, move to Nashville. And I've just always been on the run, right? I just don't feel like I've ever had anywhere or fitted in anywhere. And honestly, probably until I met my wife, which is like really weird, right?
Yeah,
but like until
beautiful.
I actually met my wife, I feel like I was just this like dwindling cowboy.
Yeah,
it was just searching for purpose,
Yeah, traveling. In a way.
Searching for purpose. And I feel like now I've found my purpose. And this whole song came together, and it describes that feeling. And I think that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I've also made a lot of good decisions. But this song really kind of touches on all those different aspects of my journey. And, the song opens up and it's like I was a ticking time bomb ready to explode, gave up my life and changed my zip code. We just call it postcode in the UK. I saw my mother cry as I walked down the road. And it's one of these things that I remember that right there was like I was a ticking time bomb in Scotland. But I can also fast forward 10 years or however many years it was when I felt that in Scotland to last year when I was in Nashville, where I was like, I'm doing shit that I don't want to do. Like, I'm not fucking happy anymore. Like, I need to get out of this or I'm going to explode, right? So it's crazy that things can mean something in two different ways but still have the same meaning, and the completely different time frames in my life. And I remember leaving home and watching my mum get upset as I was leaving. My parents have been the most supportive. I wouldn't be here without them, truly.
Yeah, maybe not upset but sad that you're leaving.
Sad, right?
Yeah,
so like I think that when you remember those feelings and you harness those feelings and you put them into song, and that's what this whole song is about. It's like but when I wrote it, although it's very personal, I wrote it for everyone that maybe feels like that. There has to be more people in the world that feel like they've never really fitted in anywhere, or they feel like they are just a little bit different. And I will say that when you do commit to something like music, and you'll attest to this, and I'm sure you'll attest to this as well, remember all the lonely hours you spent practicing your guitar when your mates were playing or they were drinking and you were playing guitar, or you were playing a shitty bar for $40, right? But it's because you loved what you do and you wanted to make a career with that guitar or your voice or your drums or whatever. And a lot of my life was spent in isolation, was practicing, was playing gigs. And when you play bar gigs, 90% of people don't listen when you're singing in pubs, and especially in Edinburgh, right? So you're just living in this little isolated bubble, and it's such a weird place to be in. But it's, and I feel like that has come into this song in so many more ways than one. And when I wrote it, it's the perfect description to open up this record. It basically opens the door a little bit to let people know, like, okay, this is what I was, this is what I was doing, this is where I am now. And once the door is slightly open, there's going to be more that comes through. And on this record, there's love songs, there's happy songs, there's sad songs, there's songs about my seizures, songs about my grandmother. It's just a very, across the board, production-wise, very tied together. Certainly wouldn't say it's a concept record, but there is probably concepts in there that could tie together, but just an honest record. And I know every artist in the world is going to be like, this is the most honest record I've ever done in my life. But like, I'm not going to sit here and use those like buzzwords because I just feel like they get overused. But it's a fucking honest record. That's all I can say. And it's a record written for people that are going through something or are in love. I think there's just something in it for everyone. I know that's so fucking overused too. But there is. There really is. I promise.
Hey, like, cliches are cliches for a reason. You know?
That's true.
It's like, people are writing honest music these days.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but
Yeah.
Good, the good ones are. So nothing wrong with that.
And Never Rains in California was the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life, though, because the first day I ever went to LA, pissed down rain.
Great.
Yeah. So that cliche is wrong. Whoever came up with that cliche.
Yeah. Well, yeah, some of them are not, but this is going to be an honest record. We're excited for it.
It's going to be an honest record, and it's also going to be musically, it's cool, man. Musically, it's just...
Would it sound, let me ask you this, would it sound that different from the stuff that I've heard you play live? Like production-wise, let's say?
Great question. Yeah. It's so hard to... Some songs, yes. Definitely some songs.
Cool.
But not all songs, right?
Yeah.
I think that, like, the first song we're coming out with is a bit rockier, a bit more band in that. No banjo. Banjo's gone on this one. It's not there. No mandolin either. It's more kind of... I wanted to have that kind of, honestly, that kind of Oasis-y feeling to an extent. Where it's rock music, you and your boys can just pick up the instruments and go on stage and rock at a festival, right? That's kind of where I wanted to do with that one. But some of them are definitely more produced and in terms of sonically a bit different. I think it's just tones, man. I think that's what it boils down to, and I think you could say that about any type of music, but I think it's just like the tones of the guitars we've used, the tones of the drums, the way things have been mixed. I'm singing very high. I never really knew that I had a high voice like I do. And when I started working with this vocal producer, Robin, who's producing the record, he was like, "Yeah, you're using like 60% of your voice." And I was like, "Well, I could tell you I feel like I'm using 120 because I don't know if I've got any more in it." And he's like, "Just wait till we get you out of this record." And we started.
This is why I don't produce records.
Yeah.
It's because there's, like, I know about music. I do not know anything about the voice. And people are like, "Have you ever thought about producing?" I'm like, no, because I don't know how to, like, get the most out of people vocally.
The crazy thing is that how you've got a great... Because I think that vocal production... If you can find a producer that can vocally produce and produce, they're, in my opinion, two different skills. Because I've worked with producers that are great producers, but I don't feel comfortable when I'm singing my vocal. I don't like their setup. I don't like the way my vocal sounds in my head. I don't like what they're telling me to do. It's consistently stop-start. It's too rushed. There's not... I've had it where it's just like, sing it. And it's like, bro, like, just chill. Like, please. Like, I am so inside my head right now and you're moving me a million miles an hour. You're not going to get out of me what you want.
Vocals, unlike guitar, I've taken vocal lessons and I've taken a trillion guitar lessons.
Yeah.
And guitar lessons, it's like, technically this, do this technically.
Yeah.
When I've taken a voice lesson and I'm like singing a song, I remember at Belmont I took like an elective class.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does this song mean to you? I go, I don't care. Like, how do I sing in tune more? And she's like, you'll never sound good if you don't think about what the song means to you and all this like feeling stuff. I'm like, I don't feel things. Like, I just want to sing so I can sing background vocals for some country artist, but like that stuff is real. It's like get the mental. It's like producing vocals is like there's a technical aspects of it, and like there's breathing and what mic placement is, and like you said, pace and all that. But it's also like making someone feel comfortable and getting the best out of them that way too.
I think
the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that's so important as a vocal producer, and I've never been more at home. I was petrified the first vocal I ever did with Rob. Because I know what he's capable of personally. But him and I quickly found a way that we can... It's weird, right? The voice is one of these things that I've had it if I'm having a bad day or if I feel sad, my range is diminished, right? But if I'm happy and endorphins are running through my blood and I'm on fire, like I can sing pretty much any note that I really feel like I need to sing for this record to get these. Like there's some notes in this record that I even listen to now that if I'm a little sad or something like that, I'm like, not a chance. It's not gonna happen, right? I've got to be like 7 Celsiuses and 12 coffees in to do this, right? But what we did, like we just found this chemistry really quickly, and to bounce off what you said, when I take myself back, the guy who produced on my first record with, great producer, lovely guy, we did a great job. Really, really happy with him. Yeah. But when I sang the songs, I don't know what I was singing to. And it's true. We this time Rob really put me in that headspace. And we wrote a song. We wrote a song for my wife for the first dance of our wedding. She had no idea about it. Aww. But I'm a huge Bryan Adams fan, right? Sure. And we did this, and I came in one day to cut the vocal and started cutting it. And he was like, "Well, we just go and get coffee." And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went and got coffee, and he's like literally my best mate, right? I love him, and he's just like, yeah, just come back next week. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're not in the headspace. And I was like, oh, okay. So I came back the next week, and throughout that week, he was texting me. He was like, when you sing this song, you're getting married. This is the love of your life. You need to sing with that. He's like, I can't pull that. I can tune your vocal. I can comp your vocal. He said, but I need that like energy. I need you to sing like you're singing to her. And it clicked. I was like, I am singing to her. I've got to harness all that emotion of like when you're standing there and you've got this person facing you face to face and you're going to say, I cried my whole wedding day.
Of course.
You know, that's the emotion that you got to get in this song. And I don't think I'd ever realized that. Luckily, it was early on in this recording process. But once I got myself into that headspace, every single song I go into, like I am petrified. We're going to record the vocal for my for the song about my gran, Her Not Say Goodbye, like next week. I'm lying in bed last night, just being like, I'm just going to be a mess on this mic. I know I am. I just know I'm going into battle, right? Yeah. It's like therapy. It's crazy. But then there's certain songs that are so happy and so upbeat that I just get to like, I get in my happy place and I think happy thoughts and I think, okay, I wrote this song about this time and I take myself back to that and I close my eyes and I just go for it, right? And I think that when you can get vocal takes like that, they just have something in them that I could sing that song and people could be like, oh, cool song, catchy song, right? But I think that when you listen to things, and I think that someone like Luke is so good at that when you listen to his songs, there's just something in them that you're like, this is super believable. And I don't imagine, I could be completely wrong, but I don't imagine Luke's just one of those guys that walks in and goes, oh, I'll just sing it and then leave. I feel like he has, like Fast Car has something in that you can tell that's him and his dad's song, right? That he's put that into that moment. And I think that's what connects with listeners.
And he's been singing that song since he was a kid.
Yep.
Speaking of vocal production, there's a funny story. When Luke sang the vocal on Beautiful Crazy, I think it took him like 4 hours or something, and maybe even longer. You have to ask Luke about it, but it's like him and Scott, who produced that record, Scott Moffitt. Luke was like, I'm ready to chop this guy's fucking head off.
Yeah.
Like, he's driving me crazy. And Scott was like, you could do better. Like
100%.
Yeah, and just doing it over. Like, if it was me, like, I have no experience producing vocals, so it's like to tell Jordan, go home, you're not ready, you're not in the headspace. Like, I just wouldn't have the balls to do that. Or to get Luke another take after he's about to beat the shit out of me. Like, but for the art, it's like everything else is secondary.
But dude, like I'll show you this right now. I've actually not showed it. This isn't finished yet, but I'll let you hear a little bit of this thing.
I'll take a listen
because I think that it'll kind of give you an idea of what. I don't even have a release date for this or anything like that, but I just wanted to kind of show you. You'll hear the Mutt Lange influence, and then you'll hear the vocal on it. The Wi-Fi is not very. Oh, here we go. We're loading now. And this is kind of what we set out to achieve. And what I love about working with Rob is that when I give him a great vocal, he matches it with his backing vocals. He is just so good at BBs. It's insane.
Oh, cool.
But like, so we did. Let me just check if this is the right bit. Good. Okay, here you go. So we went. I mean, I'm sure you can probably hear the Bryan Adams influence in this.
Sure,
you know,
dude, yeah.
Like even like all the key changes we did. Like,
oh, I can't wait,
dude. I was like, we have to. If we're going to do the song, we have to do the key change, right? I think that's like the most important thing in anything when it comes to Bryan Adams. Like, was it? Oh, is it here? Oh, it's right before this roll. which leads into guitar solo, you know. But we did it a few times, man. We did like a couple of like key changes, and we just brought back musicality, man. Like that doesn't have any drums on it or anything because that was just like the wedding version. But we did go proper like old school in the air tonight drums. Yeah, we hit all the stops and stuff. So it's but that vocal.
That's why I love like
ages.
That my favorite mod recently is the Dig Down Dallas key change. Dude.
Yeah.
The first time I heard this chorus, this song, I'm like, this is brilliant. And then it changes keys, and I'm like, sold, dude. Done. Hook, line, and sinker. I love this song.
But dude, key changes are so important. I think if you can use a key change creatively as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they're awesome. They're just such an energy refresher, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Especially halfway through a song when we all have attention spans of goats these days. I don't know the actual neurological science behind a goat's attention span, but
goldfish maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Bon Jovi because he has to sing that "Living on a Prayer" mod. It's like a step and a half or something.
I don't think he sings it anymore.
No, it's like
she got eyes.
He just like lets the crowd do it, you know.
I mean, it's probably smart.
Living on a prayer.
Look at all those rock legends though that have no voice left.
Yeah.
I mean, they just called Aerosmith quits, right?
Yeah.
Steven Tyler's done.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like, Axl Rose is... I mean, I love Guns N' Roses. I cherish Guns N' Roses. But, I mean, he ain't Axl Rose anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but then you look at, like, people like Paul McCartney who are still at the age, still going out there and belting high notes.
Dude, like, Rob Halford from Judas Priest is, like, 80, and the dude sings, like, crazy. But he's like, you have to dedicate your life to that. You know, it's like... People travel with like vocal coaches and like and eat certain things and
not talk
and not drink, bro.
Yeah,
no dairy, no alcohol.
Drinking is the worst for you. Alcohol, man. Like even these days, bro. Like if I drink, like don't ask me to sing the next day.
True. That's why you drink Saturday nights and then you travel on Sundays.
Yeah.
Go home.
Are you on a bus?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sleep on the bus? Okay.
Great.
How many times you woke up hungover on the bus this year?
A fair amount, yeah.
There's nothing worse and more disorientating though when you go out on the sauce and then you get in the bus and then you wake up in your bunk and it's pitch black and then you're like, where the fuck in the world am I? And you're in Kansas, Missouri. And you're like, wait, why am I?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's better than waking up hungover and having to get on a flight.
Yeah.
Yes, I would take that a million times.
Hey, so Nick actually stayed on our bus the other night.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And their bus isn't a regular bus either.
No.
It's basically like a luxury house.
How many you got on your bus?
7 people.
Is it the band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the Luke's band, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so usually for those who don't tour, a tour bus has 12 bunks. So it's like 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, 12. But since there's only 7 of us, we have 8 bunks. So we have 2 bunks in the space of 3.
Yeah.
So we call them condo bunks. So that's what Nick stayed on. Actually, you crashed on Trey Luce's bus before.
Yeah, one time.
Mm-hmm. And I said, how did you like being on the bus? He's like, it was fun for a weekend, but I'm glad I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then now that you've been on our bus,
I'm like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, you guys have a nice bus.
I'm sure Trace was nice too, but it's like having 7 people instead of 12, and which is what you have to do, but it's nice.
Do you have your bunk, like your one you go to?
Yeah, so I am on the driver's side, top back.
Great.
Yeah, and then so Nick was across the hall. He was on the passenger side, top back.
Yeah.
Nice. See, man, I'm a bottom bunk guy. People frown upon the bottom bunk, but I'm like, I like the feeling of the road to begin with, and I was like, I also just like the flopping out of bed.
It makes it easier.
It's so easy, man. And like I piss like a racehorse, bro, because I drink so much water.
Yeah.
So getting down from the top bunk and waking everyone up every single like 45 minutes during the night doesn't go well. It doesn't.
Yeah.
People don't. Got to the point sometimes when I was on tour, I'd just sleep in the living room.
But also the buses are different in Europe.
Yeah, we got double deckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. It's like Swiss Family Robinson
Dude, it's
Treehouse
the best.
vibes. It's so sick.
So like on a double decker, like I keep kicking these cables.
That's
Sorry,
all
bro.
you're
Fuck.
tall.
The double decker. Yeah, I know. Lanky as shit. The double deckers, man. Like you go in, kind of middle of the fucking bus. To the right, you've got this living room, this like table. You've got like an L-shaped kitchen as you walk in here, and then you've got this stairwell that goes up. You've got your bunks at the back of the bus, and in the front you've got so you technically got 2 lounges.
Yeah.
You've got little living space, 2 toilets, 1 downstairs, 1 upstairs, and then you have the bunks. And then you have a back. Let's say actually in a way you have 3 lounges. What we used to do is we'd have the gaming lounge, and for people that like to partake in smoking certain things would go into the back lounge. That was the back lounge only. You would go there, you know, to have fun and play FIFA. And then the front lounge would just be the chill lounge. So if we had, you know, radio or we had guests, we would sit there. It was always clean. It was always nice. We'd have snacks. We'd chill. Downstairs was like the breakfast parlor where you'd have cups of tea and, you know, your milk in one, and you'd have your scones or you'd have your toast and jam, and you'd watch the news or you'd read the paper or you'd catch up. Downstairs was chill. Upstairs was party.
Yeah.
And anyone that fucked with that, get off the bus. You ain't welcome.
Yeah,
You know?
every crew is different too with their bus rules. But what's cool is that in ours, it's like, you know, it's just one. But in Europe, there's a table and a whole lounge area above the driver.
Yes.
So you're like driving on the Autobahn or something, and you're just like, you can just see out everything.
Great.
It's so cool.
And that's
driving through Scotland that way was insane.
And
oh my God, gorgeous.
To close on the bus, because I don't want to hear about your Scotland thing. I wish America had double deckers, because like that lounge there, that little kind of like hub at the front of the bus, some of my favorite memories. People you'd meet, artists that would come out with you, or, you know, even anyone from press to TV to people's parents, and just the conversations. That lounge was always just like off limits for. We didn't really play much music there. It was just like, we kind of tried to treat it like a pub. You go in there and you just talk, and you watch the pretty sights as you drive past. Right? It was dope, and I wish that we could all bring pub culture, or that pub culture could spread around the world. Because like, I don't know how you guys feel. I am guilty of this as well. But like, sometimes I just want to throw this out of the window, because the amount of times you have conversations with people these days, and we could be having a conversation and be like, yeah, man, like, I'm listening. Yeah, I think that'd be, that's great. Yeah.
It's too real.
And
man.
it's like,
So true.
And you know what I mean? I miss this. I actually am thoroughly enjoying this, because like,
Same.
it's a it's like we're just chatting, right? But I would love to hear about your ventures in Scotland. And did you go to any Scottish pubs, and did you experience proper Scottish pub culture?
I think I did. I think I've told a story on the podcast before, but we've played Edinburgh a bunch of times. There's that arena where the C2C.
So that's Glasgow.
Oh shit.
No, that's okay. That's Glasgow. That's the Hydro.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we haven't gotten to like really experience Scotland. But I want to go so bad. But like driving up the coast on the bus, it's insane, dude. It's like a fairy tale.
So you probably drove up the English coast, I would imagine, because so you played the Hydro. Tyler, when did Luke play the Hydro that my dad and my brother went to?
No, it was fall last year.
Fall last year. You played Wembley Arena as well, didn't you? In the O2, sorry, you played the O2 in London.
We played O2, and then in Belfast also.
That's right. So the O2, my brother and my dad actually came to that show. Still talk about it, saying it was one of the best shows I've been to.
Oh yeah.
And my dad's a huge Luke Combs fan, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Huge, like massive Luke Combs fan. And they came to that show, and then I remember you guys were going up north, and they were going to try and go to that one, but they sadly missed it. But I had friends at the Glasgow show as well who said it was incredible, and I would love to ask you this question, because I certainly have an answer, and I'm not going to say what it is to sway yours. Do you think British audiences are different than American audiences? And if so, why?
For sure. I mean, they're great. And even Australian audiences are different. Because we played in Australia, and I walked out, and Cody Johnson is opening for us, and the crowd was sitting. I go, if they're sitting for Kojo, then that must be an Australian thing, because no one sits for Kojo when he's playing, because he's fucking badass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we're gonna get those people out of their seats for sure when we go up there and start playing. Get up there and start playing. It's like, you know, the pit, everyone's rocking.
Yeah.
But it's like, even people are still sitting. I'm like, and they're like, oh yeah, people buy tickets and sit there. Which is like,
that's bizarre.
It makes it, not the case, you know, over here. I would say. I remember watching Ashley McBride play in the UK somewhere, and she's just with her acoustic guitar, and everyone is dead still, super quiet. And then she would say some line, like in the song, that was really cool, and you could tell people are like have a visceral reaction to like the lyric, because they're listening so intently.
Of course.
And then it's like at the end of the song just erupts. You know, I think in the US it's more rowdy all the time. But I have noticed, because I've been playing over there for a while, Not as long as you have, of course, but that it's. I think now the UK audiences are becoming more like the US ones.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, I would say that that's probably true. I think yeah.
Since like 2017 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true. One thing that I think I have always wanted to do, and I think that somewhere where I am in a fortunate position is, as I mentioned earlier in this chat, I want to help, right? And I said what I have to say on that matter. But what I've always wanted to do, and I think that immediately my inclination was like, I want to do it via country music, like through country music, where I'm this Scottish lad, small town of 6,000 to 10,000 people, moved to Nashville, and live in this big city that is now at the height of its exposure because of country music.
Yeah.
Everyone that lives in the UK is looking, well, not everyone, but a lot of people that are fans of music are looking at me going like, how did that kid do it? Like, how did he get to Nashville? And I'm like, well, I want to bridge that gap. And like, I really do want to bridge that gap. Like, that's something like I'm so passionate about, is there's some insanely talented people in Scotland. And there is in England. I'm just using Scotland as an example. Mm-hmm. There is some, like, for example, my buddy, there's a guy who's an artist in Scotland right now who, I wouldn't say we know each other extremely well, but we've been on the same circuit for a lot of years. And he actually came over to Nashville a few years ago as a guy called Callum Beatty. And he's more in the kind of pop rock space, I would say, singer-songwriter. Dude is an absolute weapon. Dude's super talented, right? Mm-hmm. Would kill here in Nashville. I just think he would do so well in the community of people. Like I feel like he would, be embraced really well. I think a lot of people in the Nashville community would really respect him, because there's something like, I don't know, when I talk here or like I sing with a bit of a Scottish accent in my songs, a lot of people in the South are like, dude, that's so cool, right? And I feel like there could, but on the flip side, people back in Scotland are like, Southern music's so cool. Like, that Southern drawl is so cool. Like, country music is awesome. So I just feel like there's this gap that could really be bridged. And I feel like what I wanted to do was like come over here and be like, I'm the Scottish guy here in America, right? But what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to be like, I'm the Scottish guy that's come to America and I'm bringing it home. And I want to take what I've built here and I want to take it back, and I want to play these festivals like Belladrum, and I want to play these festivals like Transmit, and hopefully one day Glastonbury and Reading and Leeds. And I want to bring this almost Americanized, somewhere in the line of country music and pop rock, alt music, and take it back as the most authentic version of myself, which you've probably never heard any artist say that before, and take it back to the UK and be like, this is what I've done. And then find a way to help creatives and artists get to Nashville, be it through a system of coming over and helping set up rights for them. I just want to build a community for people in Scotland to come to Nashville. And I always thought it was going to be me being here and being like, I'm Scottish, like, look at me. And it's not. I think it's the other way around. I think I've just had my blinkers on, and I think it's being here, absorbing myself in the Nashville community, but really taking that and showcasing that on my socials. I've been like dead quiet on my socials for obvious reasons, to get my mental health and everything right, because it's been fucked. But I feel in a much better place now. But in this next chapter, it's really going to be connecting both. I really want to. A lot of my content is going to be obviously promoting music, as any artist should do, because if you don't, then that's probably a bad use of your time.
Yeah.
But it's also really showcasing Nashville, highlighting everything that it goes on here, and really help take that back to Scotland, and also showcase the fuck out of Scotland, because it's the most cool country in the world.
All right, we need a Raise Rowdy festival in Scotland.
I'm in.
I think we could do it. Honestly, if you'd be up for it, and I think that
yes,
I promise.
I'll speak for Nick. Yes,
I promise you guys right now, if we go to Scotland.
Okay.
Which we will have to make happen, okay? I know you're already. I can see it in your eyes.
Down.
I
just got my passport.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can. You're more than 99% of Americans.
Yeah.
We'll go to Scotland. I'm going to give you the perfect day right now. We're in Edinburgh, okay?
Okay.
You got to start drinking early, but we'll line the stomach first. So we'll go down to this little cafe in Stockbridge. It's very old. Stockbridge was probably built in the 1500s. It's a cafe called the Giorgio, ran by a little Italian family. Favorite cafe, bacon and haggis roll. You have that.
Haggis,
You have cool. that with brown sauce, which is we'll not get into that. And then you have a cup of coffee. Then we'll go out for a wee stroll. We walk around the Princess Street Gardens underneath the castle, do a wee castle tour, and then we'll stop on the way up to the castle, stop off at the whiskey rooms, have a wee whiskey. Then we'll go up. We'll stop at the Conan Doyle, which is one of the oldest pubs in Edinburgh. We'll have a pint of Tennent's. We'll go and do the tour of the castle. We'll come back. We'll do another pint of Tenants, and then we'll hit the Royal Mile and we'll do a pub crawl. So the Royal Mile is one of the oldest streets, if not the oldest street in Edinburgh. It's a mile long. It leads from Holyrood Palace all the way up to the castle. So Holyrood Palace, where the Queen has lived, where the royals, may I say, should live. The top of the Royal Mile being the castle. It's a steep incline, so I would imagine just doing the castle and walking down the hill, because the more drunk you get, you don't want to walk uphill. And we'll just hit every single pub on the way down, and we'll stop in all the oldest boozers you've ever been into your life, and we'll just taste the most beautiful beers and whiskies. And by the time you get to the bottom of that hill, there'll be an Uber waiting to take us back to our hotel room to go to sleep, because we will not be walking.
Bro, I'm way in. I'm sold. Let's go right now.
Yep. And there's a series on Netflix. It was massive recently. It was called like One Day or something like that. Do you remember that? Do you remember One Day? Did you ever watch that thing with the couple shot in Edinburgh? It's on Netflix. He's looking at me like I'm a fucking alien. Watch that show. I'm sure it's called One Day. It was unbelievable, but it's about a couple that meet in Edinburgh, and there's some unbelievable footage of Edinburgh, like unbelievable footage. And I think that you can watch that, you can get a little taste for it, and be like, holy shit, it's just so picturesque. And people often ask me like, well, why do you not just live in Edinburgh, right? Like, why? And I'm like, because unfortunately, the only thing that Edinburgh lacks, and again, this comes back to me on my journey, you got to take little steps at a time, right? I want to really help grow the creative scene and the music scene in Edinburgh in any way I can. I don't even know what that looks like yet. It's just a dream of mine, right?
Yeah.
There just isn't enough creative opportunities in Edinburgh to live there if I want to do music full time. That's why you got to move to Music City.
Yeah.
And London's a different kind of beast. That's like living in New York. And unless you like tall, sweaty street, I mean, London's beautiful, but for anyone that's been to New York, just kind of, that's what London's like to live in. It's hustle and bustle all day long. At least naturally you get the hustle and bustle where you get a little peace and quiet too.
Yeah.
Right. It's a nice medium.
It's a nice medium. But Edinburgh is just, if you just want to retire.
I do.
Yeah. Don't we all, right? When you want to retire and you just want the chill life, like I always envision myself, not to like speed up my life, but like I always envision myself at like 50 or 60, and my day looks like I wake up in the morning, I take the dog out for a walk, I go and pick up a coffee from my favourite shop in Edinburgh, walk around the old streets looking at the old buildings, I'll find a park bench, read a newspaper, and then I'll go and find a nice quiet corner street pub, because there's just pubs on every corner in Edinburgh. I'll just go down there for a pint, listen to a little fiddle band with an acoustic guitar, and just be happy as fuck, man. I just feel like if I did something like that one day, it's a dream. Once all is said and done, and I've used my voice for good, and I've done some good stuff in this life, like I can't wait for one day just to be sat on that bench with listen to someone else's, start their dreams and start to move in their music career and just drink a beer and go,
hell yeah,
this has been cool as shit.
Dude, I'm sold. I'm moving.
We're going, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you know as well, I found that Luke is Scottish. He's got Scottish blood in him.
I'm not surprised.
Because
you guys have similar color hair a little bit.
Yeah, well, I always had this thing, because I know he's such a big Ed Sheeran fan.
Huge, yeah.
Because Ed's such a legend, great artist.
Great person, too.
Yeah, I always wanted to go up to Luke, and I still questioning if I've got the balls to do it when I meet him, but just be like, I know that Ed Sheeran most likely won't open up for you, but if you ever want the Dollar General version, I'm fucking right here.
Yeah. What is it? Wish? When you order Ed Sheeran on Wish or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want the Temu version.
Yeah.
Temu, yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah, I'm just like, I wonder how he would respond to that, if he would laugh at me or if he'd just be like, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm sure he would laugh for sure.
Because he's a big Ed Sheeran fan. Like, that song they did together was great.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my claim to fame is when they played it at the CMA Awards together, ACMs, whichever one it was, they were on that stage out front. Well, I got to play with them, but I was just behind a video wall. So you couldn't see me. So I think like I was up for some award, or like I needed some like musical resume for something, and it was like have performed with Ed Sheeran. Even though you couldn't see me on the TV, but
Still
it was pretty cool.
Did you meet him?
Oh yeah,
Nice guy.
incredibly nice,
Chill,
unbelievably
isn't he?
nice.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
we ran the tune before acoustic, just in the green room.
Great singer.
So he sounds exactly like the record.
Yeah.
And so him and Luke and I, the three of us, jamming. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's that video game stuff you do.
Yeah, I know. and like he had all these camera guys taking videos and stuff. And I'm like, man, I would love to see this footage. is he going to post it? And I don't think he ever did. And I'm like, shit.
Dude,
I need that just for my own
archive.
Yeah, just show my parents.
I feel like in some way though, like I'm not because I could be completely wrong in this, so no one hold me to facts ransom here. But like I kind of feel like Luke and Ed were the real innovators of this kind of cross-pollination between country and pop. At the early days, like I'm talking in the last kind of like 5 years, that was the first thing I saw where I was like, oh, because Ed's a huge country. Ed's been coming here to write songs for years. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I don't really give a shit. Like when I was in the band, like we got pitched a song that Ed wrote. Like we didn't end up cutting it because it just was a little young for us, like the message of it. But I know he's been in this town for years writing country music, and like I feel like that was one of the first for me personally that when I saw that collaboration, I was like, oh, okay. Because the crazy thing is like their fandom of each other goes both ways, right? Ed's a huge Luke fan and Luke's a huge, so like that works organically. But like I feel like we've seen so many more of those types of collaborations since that happened.
Yeah, I meant, you know, most recently with like the Poe stuff and Machine Gun Kelly and
Jelly Roll,
yeah.
But like I feel like that's the great. Do you know what they did for the ginger community? Like that was fucking awesome. Like I felt like that day. I think I just walked on my chest like puffed 2 inches higher that day.
Yeah, hell
because we always got picked on at school for having red hair. You know,
even in Scotland.
Oh, bro, are you joking me?
I just assume everyone over there looked exactly like you,
dude. Dude, I played like I was pretty good at football. Like I wouldn't say that I was good, right? I wouldn't say I was amazing. Scored a lot of goals, was probably useless in everything other thing on the football field. But dude, the reason I played football, genuine fact, the reason I played football was my granddad was a big football fan. I'd been going to football games since I was a really young kid. But I don't want to get fucking bullied.
Yeah.
I still got bullied. You know, and I don't throw that term around loosely. Like I wasn't bullied like some people were, because bullying is absolutely horrendous. But like I got my taste of it for having red hair and it sucked. But I was like, at least if I play football, then I'll get a little bit more lenient. So I just had to be good at football and score goals, and people would leave me alone. And it worked for most of my primary school and high school days. Yeah. It's not until you get to college, like you dye your hair in high school and all that shit, and then you get to college, and girls are like, "Why would you dye your hair? Like, I love your red hair." And I'm like, "Well, where have you been for the last 17 years of my life?" Like, you know, even my wife now, like I talk about like changing my hair, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do something drastic and like bleach my hair, or just she's like, "Why the hell would you bleach your hair?" And I'm like, she's like, "Do you know how many people would dye to have red hair?" And I'm like, not in 1995 in Scotland. I'll tell you that right now.
That's how it works, though. Kids don't get it.
Nah, bro.
Things that make you different when you're a kid are a bad thing. Things that make you different when you're an adult is a good thing.
Dude, which is so true, and it's so funny because I get this question all the time, and I'm just going to answer it right now because I don't give a fuck. People are always like, "Yeah, your hair's a little strange," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably is a little strange." And they're like, "Yeah, it's just like," I was like, "Well, have you ever seen like Peaky Blinders, or have you ever seen like these movies where people have shaved and then it's long on top, like people used to do in the army, they put it in a ponytail." And I'm like, but here's the thing. Even though when I put a song out and we get a video that does really well, the great thing, when you know you're doing something right as an artist, is you get love comments met with hate comments, right? Yeah. You have to be like Marmite. That's why Marmite's existed this full length of time. It's like, if everyone just is like, "Oh my God, I love you," like, yeah, you're going to last. You're going to be a flash in the pan. There's going to be people, like, I spoke to Lainey Wilson about this very briefly, not to throw that word out there, but like when I was at the label. And she's freaking a goddess, right? She's awesome. Beautiful, credible artist, like done so much for country music, pioneer for women, freaking fantastic. Exactly. She is everything, right? Mm-hmm. She even gets hate. So like, it just goes to show that when I get it, it's funny because it's like, they like the music, they don't like the music. 99% of comments about my hair are from guys or from males, right? And they're like, "What the fuck has he got on his head?" And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I have this hair on my head for one specific reason. I was blessed with a lot of hair. Okay, I could shave it, would look like every other guy.
Right.
I could have a quiff. I'd look like every other guy.
Yep.
Or I could have, it's like when you have your little hair like quiffed up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I would do if I had an office job, you know. Mm-hmm. Or I can just do something fucking outrageous, and people, like, we live in culture right now where it's like, I'm sitting like doing a shit and I'm like, "Oh, video, like that." And then someone sees my weird hair and
they get mad.
And they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Yeah. And then, do you know what I mean? But it stops someone for a second.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And we're playing a game now where it's like, you have to engage with people in the first 2 or 3 seconds. And my favorite thing is, like, I've had it so many times where people will be like, "Oh, dude, like, you know, your hair's dumb as shit." and then I'll reply and I'll be like, haha, like, thanks, man. Like, you know, I like it, whatever. And they'll comment back and be like, oh, dude, I'm only joking with you.
Yeah, they get
and
all
I'm
weird.
like,
what kind of fucking joke is that?
yeah.
Hey, bro, I don't like you. And you're like, that's cool. I don't care. They're like, I was just joking. I like you.
Dude,
That's not a joke.
Bro, so I went over to the UK with the Seaforth boys earlier this year, and this is a true story. And these are the kind of stories I love, right? So I got a little bit of like fucking shit online, and
No.
yeah, I know, Jesus, I know. How could they? And this guy commented and said that like you're fucking dumb or something. And I was like, oh, and I always just reply either sarcastically or I always reply to everyone because like if anyone's taking their time of day to comment something nicely or negatively, like I'm going to reply. And I just usually like send laughing faces if it's negative, or I'll just be like, hey, sorry, it's not your thing. Like maybe I'll get you on the next one. And it was something like that. And then I'm playing in like Wales this year with the Seaforth boys. And I'm standing at the bar, I'd finished my set, and this guy comes up and he's like, hey man, like amazing set. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, really kind. And he's like, you probably don't know who I am. And I was like, I mean, you're not Paul McCartney, you know? So, no. And he was like, dude, I was the guy that left that shitty comment on your Instagram about your hair. And I was like, bro, there's
Which one?
Oh, yeah. I was like, there's a million of those. And he's like, and he showed me the one. I was like, oh, you. And he's like, dude, my bad. And he's like, honestly, I went in and dived into your story and your music. And like, I'm a huge fan now. And I gave that guy a free t-shirt. I gave that guy a hat. I was like, dude, like, the fact that you came here and you've just said that to me and you're a legend. Like, please, like, if there's more people in the world like you, he just owned up and he's like, dude, I shouldn't have done that to you. I'm like, you know, that was just, for me, it was like such a cool moment to have that with that guy. And we hung out, we had a beer, and I gave him a t-shirt, and he was one of the nicest dudes, you know, and if I never see that guy ever again till the day I die, like, that was a cool moment to have. And it's so good when you win someone over. Or for him, he was probably like, I was a bit of an asshole. And like, hopefully he can go home and be like, I feel better now, you know?
Yeah.
Wish we had more people like that in this
Right?
world that could admit when they're wrong.
Yeah.
The thing about the internet is they assume that you're not even going to see it.
100%.
And they're just like making a joke for other people in the comments.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then when they see it, they're like, oh, man. Then it hits them that they're affecting someone in a probably negative way.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say this. I think that if anyone was to ask me, like if I was ever lucky enough to have a child one day, if my wife and I decided that was something we really wanted to try and we were fortunate, and that kid turned around to me and was like, I want to be a musician or I want to be an artist, I would be very hesitant, if I'm honest with you. There's a lot of artists, being Scottish, have had, there's this comment called, had the piss taken out of you. Mm-hmm. My mates and I have bantered so much my whole life, and we have just like slagged each other off and we have just mocked each other, that I just have like, in my opinion, like bulletproof skin. There's nothing that you can say to me that I'm going to go home at night and go like, oh. There literally isn't. I don't think you could offend me. I seriously believe that. I mean, let's not make it a task.
Let's not make it.
Let's not make it a mission. But there's a lot of artists out there that I speak to that I just would, this is all I would say to someone before they make a negative comment. Before you do that, the person that you're commenting on, be an artist, might be going through something in their life, and that comment could tip them over the edge. And I'm not talking drastically I'm just talking to having a terrible day, to like mild depression. Like, they could be going through something, and there's a lot of artists that get into music and they don't get into music thinking they're going to get abused online.
Yeah. Right.
And a lot of people, I know I've spoke to a lot of artist friends of mine that really struggle with it. Thank God I came from where I come from, that I find half these comments fucking hilarious. Like, I can't stop laughing at the ones when I get like mocked. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of artists that take that to heart, and that's really sad. These people out there are trying to live their dreams and trying to write songs that they're super passionate about, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. And these keyboard warriors that sit behind their iPhones at night, I feel sorry for them, because they must be going through something in their life. To comment something on someone's video, by the way, could ruin their year, their month, their day, whatever. And I just think that, like, just think before you comment.
Yeah.
And if it's really something that you feel passionate about that you have to comment, then that's on you. But just if you don't have to say it, don't say it.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Just let that video go.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can really affect people. And I think that it's hard to watch artists that give up, to be honest, because of negative comments.
And it's like, what are they doing? It's like, take a screenshot, find their parents, and be like, look what your son said on my music video.
Yeah.
Come on. And then maybe their parents will get mad at them.
Yeah.
And they'll get grounded.
Give all your negative comments to me, please. I'll take them all. I'll take them all with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Is that a grain? No, it's a pinch of salt.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's fine.
Oh, yeah. You can have grains of salt. Yeah.
My thing about all of that is like, if you have the time to spend running someone else down, what could you be spending that time on? You know? But we haven't had a ton of videos like on our socials that have had negative comments, but we just had one we posted of Dasha while we were at a festival, and man, they just tore into her.
Here's one thing I will say about public performance, right? Is nobody ever goes on that stage wanting to do a bad job.
Yeah.
Everyone has to remember that. And last year I was fortunate enough, I was just about to fly to Mexico to do a show in Mexico. And my manager, Tyler, calls me and says, "Do you know the national anthem?" And I was like, "Not of America, no." Like, I know the tune, but like, I don't know. Please don't hold that against me. Like, I probably know a bit better now.
I don't know the Scottish anthem. I'll say that.
And he was like, no, the British one. And I was like, God Save the King. Which is very controversial in the UK, by the way. Some Scottish people don't like it. Some Scottish people do like it. It's got historic ties to between the brutality between England and Scotland. I, for one, am very patriotic to be Scottish. I also have relatives that are English. I have, a niece that's Serbian. I have European family members. I would like to say, as much as I am patriotic as a Scot, I am also patriotic as a Brit to some degree. And we got presented with the opportunity to sing the national anthem at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in England for the Ravens versus Titans game. Now, this is a full circle moment for me. My brother and I have been Ravens fans since I've been 2 or 3 years old. So we're talking like mid-90s, right? So that's a long time in my life.
Great.
My brother was going to that game.
Wait, Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah. Long story, we'll get to that after.
Okay.
And so I wanted to do that, right? I wanted to take that moment, and I knew it was going to be controversial, singing the national anthem of Great Britain at that, being a guy from Scotland, because we have Flower of Scotland. Some people say it's the English anthem. I don't fully agree with that. But I did that because of 2 reasons. I did that because it's something I've never done in my career. I got to go home and see my family. I got to go home and have my grandma and all that see me sing on television, which they never really get to see me do this in America. I wanted to pay diligence to my country, and also full circle moment, I get to go and stand across the field from John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson and Derek Henry, who's now a Baltimore Raven. Boom. And I've got Nashville and Baltimore in front of me. I went to Nashville and I'm getting to come back full circle, right? So Tyler calls me, he's like, "It's in a week." I was like, all right, well, I better get used to singing God Save the King because, sadly the Queen passed and I'm so used to God Save the Queen my whole life. So I learned the song and I am standing backstage. I'm sitting backstage and I was eating Walker's chips, Lay's chips, which is what we get told. And I remember just sitting there and I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "This is going to be the most difficult thing you've ever done in your career." Hands down. Because when you're with a band or you are on TV or you're doing anything, there's ways to edit and manipulate something to make you sound good. Okay, there just is.
Bro, this is giving me anxiety right now.
There's just
great storytelling. Go ahead.
And I said to myself, I looked myself in the eyes, in the mirror, and I said, if you cannot get through this next verse or this verse, and you can't enjoy this moment, you can't be present in it. I said this to myself. I don't ask everyone to put this pressure on yourself. I said, you shouldn't have a career in music.
Wow.
I said that to myself. I put that on myself. That is the point I was at, how nervous I was, right? So I said it to myself. I looked myself in the mirror and I'm walking out and it was a mental game. When I go on stage, like if I was playing a show right after this, I wouldn't even think about the first chord I'm playing. I was thinking of every single note, right? And as I'm walking up to that podium, and Steve Smith hands me the microphone, Hall of Fame legend, wide receiver. I remember standing on that stage and this little box, and he's looking right in front of me. And I just remember my parents, my mom and dad. That's all I visualized. I was like, I'm going to close my eyes. So if you ever watch it, it's on my Instagram. I close my eyes, and I just remember a young boy being in my mom and dad's living room. And I was like, I'm singing to mom and dad. I'm just singing. That's all I'm doing in this moment. And I did a great job.
Yes.
I did a great job. And I got through it. And I sang it. And I came off stage and my brother texted me and he's just like, I'm crying. I had all these text messages from people being like, oh my God. And I hadn't seen it, right? So I didn't know. Like, okay, look, was it Whitney Houston for the national anthem of America? No. But did I go on that stage and did I deliver the national anthem the way it was intended to be delivered? Did I sing it with passion? Did I sing it with heart? And I feel like I did because I was so in the moment of like, this is what I'm born to do and this is what I want to do. And it was one of the most challenging things I have ever done in my life. It is the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. Takes balls, beyond balls, right? To go and sing a national anthem. It is one of the hardest things you will ever do. I will never do it again unless I go down and sing the
Super
national
Bowl.
Alabama. Roll Tide. So I will say that for people that have done the national anthem before and it hasn't gone great, or they have had performances that haven't, like, because you mentioned the Dasher thing, I would imagine that's more of a negative. People are commenting negatively or whatever, right? Go easy on these people, because like it is the hardest, most nerve-wracking thing to do, and it took me a full week of sleepless nights and mental preparation to go and sing on stage for 36 seconds. Just people need to just think about that for a second. And like, yeah, there's been performances recently, or there's been performances in the past that are questionable for sure, but that's part of this game, right? Sometimes you can prepare all you want. You're a freaking awesome guitar player. You know, I'm not trying to like big you up, but you're an incredible guitar player. You fucked up.
Yes.
Yes,
right? I have. Yes.
Right? There's but what happens with singers is, for some reason,
I thought when you said that, I thought, did I fuck up at the New Jersey show?
No. But there you go. You might.
Of course I have.
Yeah. Of course. Right. We all have, and I just think that like, go easy on these people, man. Like it's what there's certain people that probably will never come back to music ever again because of those moments.
Yeah.
And like,
tough.
you know, with that Dasha girl, like, I just love to see people be successful, right?
Yeah.
And who cares whatever way they get there. I think it's the team's responsibility to protect an artist if an artist isn't ready for a situation or anything like that. I've certainly been in that situation years and years and years ago, early on in my career. Like, I'm talking 10 years ago. But I just think that just go easy on these people, because I guarantee you that the people that are commenting negative things, I would love to just be like, can we just go and give every one of these people a microphone and get them singing national anthem? Come on,
how this goes.
Yeah, you know, here you go.
Well, it wasn't like she even did a bad job. They were just giving her shit because it's the internet's time to give some people shit, and she's in that train or whatever. It's wild.
Dude, the internet's such a weird place, man.
Yeah.
Like, I find it fascinating. I don't think I'll ever figure out the internet. I don't plan on. I'm not Stephen Hawking, but like, I just think like. Great.
Why is that so funny? I don't know.
You know, but I just think that it's like one of these things that some artists will take it well, some artists will take it really bad. And I think that just go easy on these people and just let them we're making our fucking mistakes in the public eye. Imagine that.
That's the hard part.
You know, do you know how many mistakes I made when I was playing acoustic gigs? Like, I forgot the chords to Brown Eyed Girl once. I think there's 3 chords in the whole fucking song.
Yeah, G, C, D.
Yeah, there you go, right? And I'm playing like B minor, right? In a pub. And like, people are all drunk and they're drinking, they're falling over. But I still got through Brown Eyed Girl. No one gave me shit. Could you imagine if I went on TV and sang Brown Eyed Girl and played it in a minor key? People would be like, what the fuck just happened? Like, my career would be on the line. We have to basically be on 110% every single time.
Yeah.
And that's why practice. But you can't, it doesn't matter how much you practice. I just think situation is situational.
I think, like, I always talk about mistakes. It's like there's 2 kinds of mistakes. There's you didn't prepare, or the shit happens. And I'm fine if shit happens.
Yes.
You know? But if you don't prepare, that's on you. If you didn't practice
100%.
God Save the King 100 times before that and you went and fucked up, that's on you.
Dude.
You know, if a bird shits on your head while you're singing, it's like, or like there's a fan in the front row with a funny sign that makes you forget a lyric or something. It's like, that shit happens.
Dude, you're so right. And here's the biggest bit of, if not that neither of you asked for this, but the biggest bit of advice that I was ever given that I hold so close to my chest, and I do it in every single live performance, because if I'm feeling hot, I'll go for it, right? I'll push the boundaries and I'll run on red, right? I'll go for it. But if there's moments like the national anthem, and I've practiced it, and maybe I've thrown in this really cool vocal run, and I love it, and I've practiced it, and I get, which happened actually when I did God Save the King, I had this moment that I was going to do, and I got on that stage, and I was like, let's not do the moment. And here's something that someone once told me: nobody knows what you can't do if you don't show them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so true. Like, if I go in there and I try and go like, oh, and I'll go flat, right? Yeah. Everyone's gonna remember that moment I did that, compared to me just going, right. No one's gonna go, I didn't do that fucking vocal run. But they're gonna go, if I go and stumble off it, they're gonna go, oh, that was brutal. So just practice so much. Once you practice so much and you practice so hard, you have you'll have it as well. You'll be in moments on show. I'm sure you're more muscle memory now, but say you step in for a new artist, or you take a session gig or something like that. You'll have a skill set of art. You'll have things locked in that you just know that you can go to every time, that are going to do the job that you need to do, and you can do them standing on your head, right?
Yep.
And then there's things you probably do on the Look show that you'll do a solo and you'll go like, pushed it there. I was on red. I went for it there, right? But you're comfortable in that situation to do that. But there will be times you just go like, we're keeping it simple because I know I can do it, right? And no one's going to bat an eyelid. Everyone's going to go like, oh, good, the guitar sounded great.
Yeah.
You might go like, I had 4 more parts I could have put in that. I just wasn't in the headspace.
For sure. I did the Nashville Soccer Club has a riff of the game.
I was there.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I had gone through and watched other people's beforehand, and there were some,
yes,
and so I was like, well, I want to give them a little something, but I don't want to fuck up. And I've never played that guitar before. I don't know if it would be really hard to play. So I wrote my little thing, my little riff, and I had a little bit of flash in there, but I didn't try to get too wild because I didn't want to show anyone what I can't do, and I didn't know. And the guitar played great. It was a fine guitar, super nice, Les Paul. But when I got there, I played a note, and it wasn't the chord I had intended to play. So I went bong, then went dong, and that dong was supposed to be dong. And I was like, uh-oh. And then everything else that I played after that was just completely made up, and I'd never done it before.
Really?
Yes.
That actually happened in the moment?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So was the guitar tuned in a different tuning?
I tuned it. So I just forgot that I put it in drop D, and I forgot I did that. And so I hit this D chord, but it's supposed to be an E. And I was in the key of, A or F sharp minor. So it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're going with the 4 chord now. And then I went to, I don't know. I just went to all tried and true, and then I got out. And then I had this idea for the ending, and then this girl, Colleen, who's like the A&R or the artist music booker lady, she's below the camera like this going, and she's counting me down, and I'm like in the middle of a riff, so I just cut a beat out. I want to put a 3/4 bar there and just went bah, 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 because I ran out of time.
That is awesome.
There's no drummer, so it worked out. Yeah.
And that's the thing. There is places in which you can adapt and make and do some things differently with freedom. Like there's been moments in shows before where tracks have gone out.
Yeah.
And then you crack a joke and you just grab the mic and you walk down, you do it acoustically, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a moment there where you've had everyone's heard the right, and everyone's going, and you just go, fucking computer, and you go down the front and everyone's like, and you sing it, and you have that moment. You can't do that when you do a national anthem.
No way.
You can't just halfway through it be like, God save
me.
There's no room to do that, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go like, God save our shit. Can I stop? You can't. You just have to roll with it, right? And I just, music's, well, I don't know why we do this sometimes. I'm like, we put ourselves in situations that are just, you have to be slightly crazy to do this job.
Yeah, especially singing the anthem. It's just high risk, low reward a lot of times.
There is actually, I lied once on this podcast.
Tyler, get this chump out of here, bro.
Get this guy out of here. I would do the national anthem one more time. And one more national anthem that I would do, and you heard it here first, is the last national anthem I will ever do in my career will be Flower of Scotland at a Scotland national rugby game. That is it. I will do it once, and I will never do it again.
All right, well, I'm not putting your name in for the anthem at the soccer club in Nashville then.
No, I think it'd be very bizarre as well if a Scottish laddie came out and was like, oh, say, can you see?
Hey, that sounds pretty good. There you go.
A Scottish accent, I mean, I don't think anyone would want... I mean,
people pay attention, like, when I was doing the riff thing, or, like, the anthem? Are people still buying beers and stuff, or, like, what?
Everyone stopped. Everyone stopped and listened, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I actually did munch on a hot dog quickly.
That's fine.
Because halfway you came across very confident, if I'm honest with you. I was just like...
I felt confident,
You smiled the whole time, which was great, like Granny Weasley over there. You were like... Yeah,
Just
you know,
like-
teeth looked great on camera.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
but
did
I was
like
just like, yeah, I can eat my hot dog. You know,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you were making mistakes, I wouldn't have eaten my hot dog. So thank you for letting me eat my hot dog.
Of
It
course.
wasn't tense. But no, people do listen, and I think that here's what I look at it as well. I think that this correlates with country music, and this correlates with why I said I wanted to make a little bit of a sonic shift, not like a full sonic shift, just like do things a bit more authentic, because I'd had to go super country to fit into the radio game these days, and I don't know how comfortable I'd feel if an American came to Scotland and started singing Scottish folk in a Scottish accent, and then he was like, "Hey y'all, you know, I live down by the village." I'd be like, "What are you doing?" You know, like I don't know how I'd feel about that. So I understand there's, to some degree, probably people in America being like, "Listen, mate, like, do your country thing," but like, I also don't want to offend people. Like, if someone came over and started like wearing a kilt and all this and singing Scottish folk, and they were from Texas, or like, if they were doing it as like just to have a little fun, but to actually like do it as a full career, I think you can take definite influence from something. But like to actually like go in there and me buy the boots and the buckle and all that, I'm like, I'm just acting at this point, you know.
Yeah.
I do it as an acting role, but like for me, honestly, like I can take the influence from it and put it into my music, and I think that's what I was always missing. So I think that it goes with the national anthem as well. Why I wouldn't sing the American national anthem is because like I feel like that's there to be served by the people that are from this country.
Sure.
And it's the same with Scottish national anthem and the British national anthem. It's like I feel like you have to be. Personally, I could be completely wrong in all this. Like Keith Urban doing it is a different thing when he does it on his guitar. I feel like that's different than a voice. I don't know why I think that's different, but I just think like, if you're American, sing your national anthem, because it's meant to be an honor. It's definitely the American national anthem's become a vocal competition. I've seen that recently, but like it's meant to be an honor to go out there and sing it for your country, right? It's meant to get people fired up, and I just don't know if they want a lad from South Queensferry from a little fishing village singing, you know, the American national anthem.
I get it.
Because if I fuck it up, then like you might as well just deport me. Honestly, send me home.
Oh boy. Well, let's not go there. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure you don't get deported. But
Yeah,
no,
well,
I understand what you're saying too.
I mean,
like,
it's just like gotta just pay homage and like be nice to the countries and that, man.
yep, absolutely.
America is beautiful though. I will say that. Like, I dreamt of America from a young baby, from a young little redheaded kid. I saw Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and all the scenes of the plaza and the Central Park and that. And the country, the world, definitely for many years and for the most part of time, and still to this day, idolizes America. America's got this charm about it, right? And then when I moved here, I am very grateful every day to live in America. I do miss home. I think home's an amazing place. I will be back there. I will split my time, but America is an incredible place to live. I love Nashville. I love America on the whole, and I am very grateful and very proud to be part of American culture. I think it's one of the most amazing countries in the world.
Thank you.
Truthfully, you
We agree.
yeah, you guys live in an insane country, and like, again, it's something that like I realize that every day when I wake up that I get to do something that very few people get to do. And this is one thing I will say to people that complain, that are artists, that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on tour this weekend." I'm like, you know, there's kids singing cover songs in bars all across America and the world that would die to be getting a 6 a.m. flight to go and sing. And sometimes I feel like I got caught up in that before as well. I became victim of that a little bit. We're like, oh, 6 a.m. flight. Like I did that, right? But
I literally complain about that on this podcast.
I literally have had I feel like in the last year and a half I've had a full overhaul, and I've kind of really gone back to the things that I'm grateful for, you know. And as much as a 5 a.m. or a 6 a.m. flight sucks, I still get to go out there and sing and play my guitar and make a living doing that, you know. And there's people that would, if my younger me could say, you're going to get on an American Airlines flight at 5 a.m. and you're going to go and play a show and you're going to fly back on a red eye that night, I would be like, where, sign me now.
Yeah.
Instead of when you're in it, you sometimes forget and you go like, really? Like, oh, can we change the flight? And I was victim of that. Like, even a couple of years ago, I was in that headspace like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And now I'm just very much like, I'm just fucking along for the ride. Let's just do this. Like, if we're doing that, let's do it. If we're not, like, it's all good. But I just think that artists, stop fucking complaining.
Yeah.
Enjoy your job. You've got a job that
Be grateful.
anyone would literally chop their arm off for, you know? And it ain't easy. Like, being an artist isn't easy. It's not all glitz and glam.
Not
You
even
know,
close.
But there's nothing like in the UK being in the back of a Ford Transit van and stopping at a gas station, or we call them service stations, and getting a fucking chicken and bacon sandwich and a pack of crisps and a Coke, and then going to the venue and playing a dingy venue, and then making your money, and then going out for a few pints and waking up and doing it all over again for a month. There's something to be said about that type of lifestyle. It takes a certain type of character to do it, but it's such a great lifestyle when you're in it. And the golden moments are when you're on stage for those like 45 minutes to 1.5 hours or however long you're on stage for. People see that on Instagram. Everyone's going to post that on Instagram, like, look at the show, look at all these people here or whatever. They do not show you the sleeping in the back of the van under a pillow or underneath a blanket in 5-degree weather in Scotland in December. But you do it for the love of the job, you know. And it's just the way it rolls. And I'm sure you would do it as well. I mean, I know you've got the lovely, you know, lifestyle that you have now. You've worked up for that. You've earned that. You've worked so hard to get to that place in your life. But I do know if you believed in something, you're passionate enough, and you wanted to go and do that with your guitar, you'd probably do the same right now.
100%.
Yep, because we do it for the love of it, don't we?
I know. I think I said to Nick this weekend, it was like every night when I walk off stage, I think like I would do those 2 hours over again right now. Let's just do it again. You know what I mean? It's just the best.
Here's a question, because I asked my mate Josh, who did the One Direction stuff, like, do you ever find yourself, are you present in every minute you're on stage, or do you find yourself like you're at that point and you're in the show now that like you're thinking of the price of a tin of beans in Serbia?
I'm definitely not like 100% present all the time, and sometimes I think about how I'm not present, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like, so like some songs, it's like I'm playing, and I was telling the guys this, I'm like, I'm playing pedal steel guitar.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, when the fuck did I learn how to play this weird instrument? What am I doing? It's like, there's all these like pedals and levers and stuff. Like, what is going on? Why does my body know how to do this? You know? And I'm thinking just like random, you know? Or if it's a song I've played a lot and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about, you know, there's a football stadium. I'm thinking about something completely unrelated.
Why did Saquon Barkley leave the Giants? That's what I would have been thinking of that night.
For sure. Or whatever it is. Or it's like, I'm making a goofy face at Trevor, who's like Luke's guitar tech, you know, or like just random stuff. And then sometimes I think, what is that person up there doing? And they're this small. I'm like, are they enjoying the show? What can I do to make sure that they have a good time?
That's a great mentality.
Yeah. Or then sometimes if I'm playing fiddle, I'm thinking, please, Lord, save me. Help me play in tune, please.
Do you ever record pedal steel for artists?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'll need to get you on some stuff then.
Please.
I'd love to do that. I do have a question for you, because I know we mentioned this very early on, and this is to completely pivot what you just said.
I feel like I'm being interviewed right now. This is fun.
Yeah, but that was a great. I mean, it's so cool. Like to close that, when I got to see you on the show, you do move around a lot. Your energy on stage is not that of the energy, and I know Luke's band is built differently, but it's not that of someone that you would regularly see in a band. You're very active. You're very like, and I love that Luke allows that with his bandmates to run down, you know, runways and have spotlights on them, and it just really adds to the show. Like, you're very animated, and you're right. I'm like, oh fuck, he's over there playing that, and now he's doing this, now he's doing that, and I think that really helps to add to the show. So like, yeah, the show's fucking menace. It's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I always think like there's like the way our stage is set up. We have a big stage, and then there's like a thrust, and it looks like a goalpost, like that you kick a field goal through.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there's these people, they get there so early. Some of them are like 5:30, 7 in the morning. Like, they'll tag me on Instagram. They're like, drinking a beer, waiting for the show. Like, where are you at, Kurt? Like, or something. I'm like, it's 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I get up at 11. I'm like, what are y'all doing out there?
I'm on a bus in Kansas, Missouri.
Yeah.
Hungover.
Yeah. And so like, I'm like, well, Luke will go all the way to the side over here, and he's rocking out to this people that haven't got to see him. So I'm like, I'm going to go over here and rock.
Yeah.
You know?
And do you get freedom? Does he just say go wherever you want, or do you have stage plots?
Oh, no, it's completely unchoreographed.
So he just says go wherever you want.
Yeah. And like, depends on the song too. If it's a sad song, you know, if it's Even Though I'm Leaving, it's like, I'm not going to run around and do karate kicks and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty bizarre.
And then it's like, read the room. You know, we've never made up any rules, but it's just kind of like we vibe off each other. If I see like, okay, if Luke is kind of hanging in one spot for this song because it's like kind of a medium or slower song, like I'm not going to go stand in front of Luke if he's not moving.
Yeah.
But also it's like, imagine you're singing in a stadium and there's 55,000 people there and you're on the thrush by yourself. That could be a weird feeling.
Yeah.
You know? And it could be a great feeling. Just depends on where you're at mentally. And I like to go out and hang with him sometimes too, because it's like we're in a band together.
Yeah,
that's what band do.
100%.
We're there. So sometimes it's fun to go and he'll knock into me and see if he can fuck me up, or I'll do the same thing too, you know? Or I'll try to get him to laugh while he's singing, you know, or like whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about though, man. It's
Yeah.
having fun. And when you have fun on stage, the fans have fun.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like what you said, which was a very kind comment after I played the Sky Deck. You messaged me and you were like, you know, I think your words were that of like, that blew me away. Like that was so awesome. And it's because we were guys on stage having fun, man. And the tempo was there, the energy was there, and it was fun, right? And I feel like you guys give that vibe, like where it's just like, we're here for a good time. And the sad songs serve their purpose. And they're great fucking songs. I love when it rains at pour time. Like that's my thing, you know. Or,
Same.
Yeah, I love it. And the end of the show, like the I keep saying my name. The Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Yeah, when that song. Yeah, I think you guys played that second last, because you closed with Long Leg Asco. Yeah, you closed with that, which was great. Those two songs back to back work.
Dude,
simultaneous.
crushers.
Yeah, such absolute bangers.
Yeah.
I like the kind of rocky stuff.
Me too.
I mean, that's the
As
stuff
you can tell.
yeah,
sure.
that's the stuff that gets me going. It was so cool. Like the just like that, the flow of the set was really awesome. I thought it was super cool. Like it's been structured well.
Yeah, and so we do different sets Friday and Saturday night. There's a lot of the same songs, but in different orders. And different transitions or different intros or whatever.
Yeah.
And what we do is we get together in a room, the band and Luke and Tyler, our band leader, came up with this. It's genius. He printed on magnets all the names of every song that Luke's ever cut. And we get these big boards and we just place them. And then so it's like, okay. And we're like, okay, so this song's in D flat, this song's in D flat. Cool. So we can do this there. And then every year we just do
Smart.
that. And we just, so it's like that's kind of how we built the set.
And how long have you got left on the tour?
We have 1 weekend left as of the recording of this podcast.
And then what are you doing after that? Chilling for a bit.
Well, we're going to Canada. Nick and I are going to Canada.
Yeah.
Come on.
First ever Raise Rowdy international event.
Going to see just wait till it goes to Edinburgh.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be unbelievable.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
So you're
First
gonna go.
overseas. We're just going up seas now.
Yeah, you're gonna go and hang out with the Canadians.
Yep.
Yeah, Prince Edward's Island.
Love that.
Yeah.
We're playing, also with Luke, we're playing the Gorge,
Nice.
which is a cool venue. What else are we doing? We're doing a fan club party, which is going to be sick,
Love that.
in Florida. So it'll be like on the beach. I'm hosting I don't know if I told you this, bourbon and cigar pairing evening with Kurt Ozan. And we're going to smoke cigars with Luke fans.
That's
sick.
cool.
Isn't that fucking awesome?
That's so sick. When you
Yeah.
come to Edinburgh, you have to do scotch and cigars.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
educate you on some good scotch if you've not had your education already.
I need more education.
I
for
can
sure.
always give it. One thing I do really want to ask you though, and this was where my pivot was coming in. So, the end of last year, I decided that I wanted to step away from being on a record label. I was very happy with my time there, but I wanted to become an independent artist because I wanted to take back the control of everything, from sonic to creative, all the direction. Okay, so with that, I took the task, which is way bigger than I thought it was going to be because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and a much bigger task than I thought. I decided that I'm going to write, direct, mostly shoot all my own music videos. Okay, I know. And for anyone that thinks that sounds easy, it's fucking not.
It's not.
But the first one is great. I'm super proud of it. I'm really happy with it. I borrowed my mate's camera for some of it. She helped shoot a little bit. Even Tyler shot one scene and is now deciding to take credit for the whole fucking thing, which is unbelievable. Shot one panoramic scene. But it's great, man. And I've been really enjoying it. I've learned a lot about filming. I've learned a lot about editing. And I am in the space right now where I am going to go and buy a camera, okay? And first thing I will say is, for any independent artist that is on a low budget or creative or whatever, if you have an iPhone, from anything from the iPhone 13 Pro up to now, if you get good lighting, you can shoot some unbelievable cinematic things. If you can learn things about simple editing, you do not have to go out and spend $2,000 on a camera. You just do not have to do it. This thing here, some of the shots I've shot on this are absolutely phenomenal. Shit in low light, but in regular outside light at golden hour,
Great.
unbelievable. In good studio lighting, unbelievable. Has to have good light. But for any independent artist, this is your best friend. Would you agree or disagree? If you don't, if you've got one and you don't have the budget to go and buy another camera,
I meant just the compound on that. I would say with photography or videography, I think the most important thing is always going to be light.
Yep.
So spending money on lighting is going to get you further than a camera.
100%.
So
what I would say to you is I'm in the market. I have my price range and I've boiled it down to 2 cameras. Okay. Also, I'm gonna tell you the 2 cameras. If you know what they are, I'd love your opinion on it.
I'm more in the photo side than video, but I'll try.
Are you a Canon guy or a Sony guy?
I shoot Canon.
Okay, so you're probably going to lean towards the Canon R8. That's one I was looking at.
Okay.
And I was also looking at the Sony 6700.
Okay.
So they actually do fall in the price range of anywhere between $1,100 to $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be helpful for any independent artists out there that is looking to spend a little bit of money, because I've done a lot of research and I'm in the market to get a camera to help elevate my visuals socially, to help elevate my music videos.
Yeah.
And I'm torn between 2 of them.
I think that one of the reasons you buy a camera is to get away from the look of an iPhone, because iPhone has such a small sensor. Whenever you shoot, everything is in focus.
Yeah.
Which is good, but also it's like you don't want that. You want a cinematic look. You want to get a lot of depth of field, or a narrow depth of field.
Yeah.
So I think if you can get something that's full frame, even if it's a little bit older, like the R8 is new, can you get an R? Like just the R full frame camera? Then it's like, do you need 4K 60? Like,
Yeah, not really for music videos, right?
I mean, 4K is pretty nice to have. So
for standard, yeah, but if I'm not slowing footage down or anything like that, I think that it can be. I don't know. Depends what you need it for, right? And I think that
one thing I have noticed though is that literally all cameras these days are insanely good.
Yeah,
like I have an R5, I have 2 R5s, and it's like photography on easy mode.
Yeah,
like I handed it to Nick at the bar, I put it, and he's just like makes great pictures with it.
Yeah,
I can't edit them, but
I will tell you though, like. It's by no means any like Christopher Nolan piece, but I do think that people will be pleasantly surprised by the quality and the editing I've done on this first music video. Mm-hmm. And I would urge any independent artist that happens to come across this or see this snippet or whatever, like if you're stuck and you're looking to like record a music video on a budget or low whatever, just like DM me, like I'll tell you what I used. I'll give you all like my little tricks and stuff like that. It literally cost me basically nothing to make,
except for time
a lot
of time.
Yeah, but I think as well, if you're going to be if you're an artist on a label and you make the decision to leave the label because you want to take a more independent route, I think that you take on those I knew I was taking on those responsibilities, right? 100%. So I think that you have to be ready for the capacity to take that on. And what I will say is it's extremely rewarding, because when you do put so much time into it and you put it out there, it is a really rewarding feeling, because you're like, I did this, and you're only going to get better as time goes on. Mm-hmm. Your equipment's going to improve, your eye for filming is going to improve. But what it's actually like songwriting, it's flexing a completely different muscle, because it's scripting. You have to write, okay, I'm going to do this, and I need this shot, I need that shot, I need that shot. And what happens with that is you want to make a music video that complements the song that you've made. And no one can complement the song you've made visually better than yourself, because mm-hmm. you've written the song. Often when I was at a label before, it was very much like you get given, which again, so grateful for it. And some of these videographers are unbelievably talented, but like they would just give you a script for your song. They've listened to it maybe once or twice, have written up a quick script, they've sent it to you, and you've gone and shot it. And I look back on those music videos and I'm like, oh, they're kind of cool. Like, there's some really cool moments in them, but if I had the knowledge, I would have done them differently. And now that I have the knowledge, I'm going to increasingly get better. And I would urge any independent artist that has a career in music to go out and just try and get better at filming, because 90% of what we do these days is online. Is content creation. We are literally content creators, right? And I was always told that great content can make a bad song good, and bad content can make a great song bad. We are in that moment that like I've had friends that have had great viral moments, and you go back and you study the video and you look at it, and there's a reason why. It was very engaging, it was captivating, they hooked them in with their words or whatever, their song, or there's so many ways, but like you have to really take the marketing side of music these days just as seriously as the creation process of it.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
You can have a great album, and if you're shit at marketing it, you might as well just like, I don't know, just send it to your mom. Like, you got to be so...
What are some like marketing tips?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that first...
Because you've had, like, Alabama Girl blew up on
yeah,
TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that... Listen, there's so many different... This is such a long... this could be a long-winded answer, but, like, I'm going to try and keep it short as I physically can.
Okay.
There's so many different ways to approach marketing and to approach content creation. I think the first most important key is study and research. If you look at all these videos, specifically in music that go viral, they all have similar themes. They either have a great hook, it's a great song, it's shot really well.
Girls in a bikini.
Yeah, exactly. Timing plays a great part in it as well. But I think that it's such an overwhelming thing, right, to get into content. And I think that if you just pick up your phone and you shoot some stuff and you chuck it out, there's a chance that it could do well, but I think that you have to go back and you have to go and look at what has worked previously. Why has it worked? Like, when is it time to pivot? And I think that what I try to do is I look at myself as an artist and I go, okay, I don't create content for me anymore. I used to create content for me. I would shoot a content around a song and I'd be like, I look cool in this video or whatever, and I post that. But what's that doing? You go on your phone to go on Instagram. You go on your phone on TikTok to be entertained. Mm-hmm. You want to be entertained. I get turned off immediately when I go on and I'm like, they've just shot that because they think they look good. That doesn't do it. They're not serving me. So the main thing that I can ever say when creating a piece of content, now that I've spent so much time researching it, is make sure that you serve the audience and not yourself when you're creating content. Make sure you give them something. So for example, one of my videos that did really, really well was, have you ever wondered what it sounds like have you ever wondered what a Scottish guy singing country music sounds like? Immediately, people are like, because when I post that in Nashville, it goes out to people in Nashville first. So they're looking at this shaggy-headed red-haired guy with a weird fucking accent saying, have you ever wondered what a Scottish guy sounds like singing country music? Immediately you're hooked, okay? So I've beat the 2-second rule. Mm-hmm. And then the song comes on. And if every video has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you're selling something, hook them in, give them the meat and the potatoes, and then sign them up to your email list. It's kind of different in music. You've kind of got a beginning and a middle, and you want to hook them in the middle, and then if you were looking for your end result, it is going to Spotify and streaming the song. So I suppose in a way it does. So hook them in, hopefully the meat and potatoes is good enough to keep them there and going like, this catchy song. Hooks them in, they save that song on Spotify, they share it with their friends, they check out your Instagram page, and they check out more content. Now, it's so vitally important that you have more on your social media than just marketing your music, because at the end of the day, you want people to invest in you as an artist. Why did people, like, I just use him because he's sitting across the table from me as an example, Luke Combs, right? You know, not him personally, you're here, but we've spoken about him.
Okay.
He's very personal. People love what he stands for. People like when he posts things about his family. I mean, just put an album about having, you know, his kids and all that sort of stuff. So he's very personable. I think that for up and coming art, you can get to a certain level as an artist where you can do whatever the fuck you want. You know, when you get to that Lewis Capaldi level, you can post pretty much any content and it's going to be seen by a mass amount of audience. But right now we're all fighting for attention. So hook, middle, and end. Get enough personality stuff in there. I think that the best thing any artist can do is write down on a piece of paper what their brand is, what makes them most excited, and find a way to integrate that into their personal branding. Like for me, family, music, fitness, education. They're my 4 things. So I have my North Star. Okay, so how do I combine all 4 of them in a creative, engaging way to entertain people like you that hook you in to go like, this guy's dope.
Yep.
Instead of me just making all my footage for myself.
Yep.
That's what the most important thing is, entertain your audience.
Yep. And then keep them there with the music.
And keep them
Make
there
them
with
fall
music.
in love with that thing that keeps them interested in your life.
Beginning, middle, and end. You know, keep people. Why do we go? Like, why do I go on and spend 2 hours of my life figuring out about, like, you know, a camera? And then why do I watch all these videos? Because I'm entertained. Because I know I'm in the market to buy that, and I want to be educated on that subject. Right? Why do I like Nickelback? Okay, like I love their records, and then I'm on their socials and holy shit, like they just played Scotland, this is cool as hell. Like they're an example of a higher end. But then I look at someone like Holly Humberstone, who is, you know, she's doing really well now, but like I watched her from early on in her career when Scarlet came out, and she would have great versions of her singing the song acoustically. I fell in love with the song, but then I went and watched her content, and her content was so great because it was about where she grew up, and it was her storytelling, and it was her singing with her guitar, and it was her playing shows, and it was her on travel days. And like, I think that you just have to serve the audience in an entertaining way, and it comes back to music videos. If I just sat on the floor and videoed my face singing my song for 3 minutes, it's pretty fucking boring. So I want to have a theme in it. I want to have a story in it. It's like, how do I combine these elements so if you watch it, you're entertained?
Yep.
That's why
Makes sense.
Friends is one of the best shows of all time. It's entertaining from beginning to end. The whole series. It's just shot great. It's all for the fan. We fall in love with every single character. It's goofy, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I can tell any artist. Beginning, middle, end, personality, find out
like
your
a show.
why, put it out there. It is, and I think that that's absolutely how people should view content. Don't feel like, oh, I've got to go and lip sync to my song in my car. Like, yeah, still try that. Look, trial and error is amazing. Try it. It might work. It might fail. But if you try and promote your song for a month of you sitting in your car or you sitting on your sofa or you walking down the street and it doesn't work, pivot, try something else.
Yep.
You know,
That's the key.
explore, maybe try something a bit more cinematic or try some hooks or whatever.
Put a bikini on.
Yeah, because there's times that like your song can take months to blow up. A lot of artists get discouraged. They'll put a song out and they'll be like, well, it didn't blow up in a month, and they'll just stop posting about it. And I'm like, you could be sitting on a diamond here. Where's social media? Like, my mate who wrote James Arthur's song, Trainwreck or something it was called, I wrote with him 3 years ago or something like that. His name's Adam Argyle. Trainwreck, he wrote I think it was like almost 10 years before we wrote that song. And it blew up on TikTok 10 years later.
Wow.
So I'm like, don't just give up if it doesn't work in the first month.
Yeah.
Just be consistent.
Be consistent, and honestly, building a body of work that people can go back to is so important too.
Yeah, and it's super ironic I've said that given the fact I've not posted for the last 9 months. But like I say, I've been getting my mental health in check, you know.
Okay. Well, some things are more important than
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, yeah, and anyone that wants advice on these types of things, I spend my days in my life watching these videos and researching. And look, man, in this next chapter, I'm going to try and be the best version of myself when it comes to content creation and music and helping. And it's like, if I can help anyone, you know, just reach out to me in your DMs. Like, I'll help you in any way, shape, or form I can. And if I can't help you, I'll pass you on to someone that can.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think we all just got to help, man.
Appreciate you coming on, man, and hanging with us. And
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. And
it's been super fun, dude. Honestly,
mate,
yeah.
thanks for all the support as well, man, and thank you for reaching out. You know,
Yeah.
via Instagram, and I'd love to have you play some pedal steel.
Yeah.
And I'll say it now. I'll close it out with this. But raised in Rowdy, it's going to fucking Scotland.
Yeah, let's do it,
Let's
dude.
do it.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, y'all. Well, my name's Kurt Ozan,
I'm Nicky T.
and we'll see you on the front row.